Welcome back to the channel. This is Trendy Storm and you are watching second and final part of What If Naruto Had a Dragon Spirit. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Not wasting no more time. Let's start the story.
I see. I'm sorry, Naruto, Iruka uttered. Tower, arena, and forest of death. Looking at the 8 teams in front of him, Hiruzen exclaimed, "Congratulations to you all, on passing the second exam." The exam proctors were standing next to him, and the Jonin senseis representing the various teams were standing behind him. We had 81 applicants at the beginning, so it's incredible that 24 of them made it. I promised to cut their numbers in half, but in reality, Anko was only anticipating a single-digit figure. Team 7, Team 8, Team 10, Guy, Team Gaara, Team Dosu, Team Kabuto, and Team Shu were the 8 teams that had advanced. I'm starving. Choji pondered. What a drag, so many competitors still, Shikamaru pondered. Whispering, Sasuke. Kun's team made it, Ino said. Your students made an impressive showing. I wonder how much of it was dumb luck, not that it matters. My team is bound to knock them out in the next round. At the next level, it will be all about their abilities, or lack thereof. Ah, well, sometimes being young is all about learning to deal with heart. Break. Kakashi? Guy replied. Kakashi looked at him. Huh? I'm sorry, did you say something? As annoying as ever, Kakashi, you always tried to irritate me with your distant demeanor, Guy thought. Tenten thought, wow, that's Guy. Sensei's fiercest rival. He's so much more attractive than Guy. Sensei. Guy. Sensei is the coolest of all the senseis. Not even close, he's the real deal, Guy. Sensei, just wait, you'll be proud of me, Lee pondered. Only the actual players remain now, and it was made by Uchiha Sasuke, huh? Neji pondered. Wow, Tamari thought, only 8 teams finished out of the 27 3-man teams that started. Baki pondered, so you came through without a scratch after all, Gaara. The Suna. Siblings Jonin Sensei. Yuhi Kurenai, the Jonin Sensei of Team 8, thought, Akamaru is acting strange. Kiba glared at them out of the corner of his eye and thought, those guys from Sanagakure. I'm very happy that Naruto.kun passed as well. Cheers, Hinata pondered. Bouquet thought, Naruto.kun and his team seem to have made it. Just what are those Suna Nins doing? Shu pondered as he peered out the corner of his eye at Gaara's squad. What the? Every Konoha applicant that we are aware of is present, Sakura pondered. Placing his hand over his curse mark, Sasuke muttered, I got a bad feeling about this. The fact that so many of them made it out alive is incredible, but what's even more amazing is that most of the survivors were cut from the ranks of the most unsavory recruits. No wonder their instructors fought for the right to recommend them for this competition, Hiruzen pondered before speaking. Anko turned to the elderly Kage and said, they're all yours, my lord. Now Hokage. Sama himself will explain about the third exam. Listen up and take every word he says to heart. Very well. The third examination is about to commence, but before I go into the specifics of how it will be conducted, let me make one thing perfectly clear. It pertains to the underlying purpose of the exam. Hiruzen replied. What's the point? Sakura pondered. To promote friendship among allied nations and raise the level and standards in the art of the shinobi. Why do you suppose an examination of this nature is being jointly conducted by all of the nations in our mutual alliance? Be very clear about what those fine-sounding phrases actually mean. This series of so-called examinations is, in fact, Hiruzen stated. So-called, Tenten pondered before Hiruzen went on. A war.in. Miniature between all of our allied lands, he stated. Tenten said, WH. What do you mean? If you were to study our recent history, and consult a map, it would swiftly become apparent that our alliance is, in fact, a temporary and mutually beneficial agreement between a group of geographically contiguous lands whose previous existence was one of continual strife, constantly jockeying against one another, openly and in secret, for power and the control of resources that were perpetually depleted almost to exhaustion in the struggle, until a better way was devised, the way of the Chunin selection examination, Hiruzen clarified. But I thought the point of the exams was to select Chunin, said Naruto. Make no mistake. When this exam is done, It will have had the side effect of winnowing out any applicants unfit to ascend to the level of Chunin. But even more importantly, it serves as an arena wherein, for the honor of their respective homelands, young shinobi may fight, to the death, if need be. Hiruzen continued. Ino questioned, the honor of their lands. This examination will be conducted under the watchful eyes of a number of distinguished guests, including the rulers and nobility of the various lands you all aspire to serve. And among their number will be those who rule over each country's own hidden villages. They will be watching you. If any one nation's applicants demonstrate outstanding skill and superiority, the noblemen from every land will be quick to commission work from those trained in that superior nation. Conversely, if a particular country's applicants are shown to be incompetent or feeble, commissions to agents of that country will dwindle. And when one land is strong in battle, and the village coffers overflow with the fruits of the many outside commissions this begets, then that village may say to its neighbors, beware, for we possess prowess and riches and the influence of political power. Hiruzen continued. So, why is it necessary to stake our lives and fight? Kiba demanded. The strength of a country is derived from the strength of its village, and the village draws strength from the shinobi who live there, and the greatest strength of those shinobi only emerges in the midst of a life and death battle. These exams provide a public arena for each country to show off and boast of the strength of its warriors, and hence the strength of the country itself. This test has meaning and great consequence. As you struggle for the sake of your very lives and your people, you help to fulfill the dream that was envisioned by our ancestors. Hiruzen clarified. Tenten questioned, but you've always emphasized the concept of friendship? Why? Though my meaning is subtle, I chose my words with care. To preserve the balance of power at the risk of lives is the essence of friendship in the world of shinobi. Let me reiterate before the third exam begins. You are taking no ordinary test. You risk not only your own futures and your dreams, but the dignity and prestige of your home village as well. Hiruzen explained. Whatever. Could you wrap up the philosophical talk and get down to the life and death stuff anytime soon? Gaara asked. Shu thought, well, it appears that someone is impatient. A Jonin knelt down in front of him before he could say anything more. HMPH. So, you insist I explain the third exam? Well, the truth is. The Jonin, now known as Hayate, said, pardon me, Hokage. Sama, but if it's okay with you, please turn over the remainder of the proceedings to me, Gecko Hayate, proctor of the third exam. Hiruzen said, go ahead. Hayate got to his feet and turned around. Good to meet you, everyone, I'm Hayate. Before we start the exam, cough, I must ask you to do something for me, cough, said Hayate. What the? Zaku pondered. Ino thought, this guy seems kind of sickly. I wonder if he's alright. You see, there are some preliminaries to the exam proper, and whether you proceed to the main exam is contingent on how well you manage those, Hayate replied. Sakura inquired, preliminaries? Shikamaru shouted, preliminaries, like what? Hayate. Sensei, I don't understand what you mean by preliminaries. Why can't all of the remaining applicants just proceed directly to the next exam? Sakura inquired. Well, I don't want to say that the first two exams weren't demanding enough, but the truth is, cough, we still have too many applicants. Under the traditional rules of the exam, we have to have a preliminary test, to reduce the number of applicants who'll proceed to the third exam, said Hayate. Sakura began, but Hayate interrupted. As Hokage. Sama mentioned, a number of honored guests will be observing you during the third exam, so we must make the exam intense, tight, and fast. Moving. So anyway, now that you know something of what it's really all about, anyone who doesn't feel up to the challenge, either physically or mentally, can walk away. Just take one step forward, cough, cough, because the preliminaries start, right now, Hayate concluded. Now, Kiba shouted. Sasuke brought his hand up to the curse mark after suddenly feeling the sting of pain once more. Oh, an additional surge of agony, Sasuke pondered. Sakura thought, oh, Sasuke.kun. I was scared of this. So, cough, looks like no one's bailing out, Hayate replied. Sakura said, S. Sasuke.kun, maybe you should quit. Naruto turned to see Sasuke clutching his neck in agony. Sakura. Chan's right, Sasuke. That mark is obviously dangerous, and there's no telling what could happen if you go and fight someone. Naruto replied. Shut up, exclaimed Sasuke. Sasuke-kun, I know that you're just barely able to contain the pain, said Sakura. I said, Sasuke began, but Sakura interrupted him. Sakura started to raise her hand, but Sasuke grabbed her wrist to stop her. You leave me no choice. If you won't listen to reason, I'm going to tell all the senseis about that mark, and then, she said. Keep your mouth shut. Not a word about the mark, said Sasuke. Why do you always have to act so strong? I can't bear to watch you suffer, Sasuke, said Sakura. It's my decision, and it's none of your business. This is my burden to bear, alone. This is more than just a test for me, and I don't care whether I achieve the level of Chunin or not. Am I strong? Finding that out is all that matters to me now. I'm here to test myself against the best of the best. And the best opponents I could find are all around us, here and now. Not even for your sake, will I turn away from the path that leads to my dream, said Sasuke. Hey, Teme. Why the heck are you trying to act so cool? Replied Naruto. Sasuke exclaimed, Naruto, you're one of the ones that I want to fight, just before he experienced yet another pain. Hiruzen remarked, it's just as I'd feared, while watching Team 7. Ibiki called out, what can we do? Pull him out of the exam, quarantine him under the guard of Anbu agents, said Anko. Anko asked, and you really think he'll just go quietly if you order that? Kakashi replied, remember that he's a member of the Uchiha clan. Don't talk nonsense. I'll stop him by force if I have to. Any attempts he makes to manipulate his own chakra will provoke a reaction from that curse mark, forcibly drawing out and draining all his strength. It's the mark of a forbidden art, which debilitates the body of the practitioner. It's a miracle that a child like him is able to bear it at all. By all rights, it should have killed him already, Anko said before turning to the elderly Hokage. Hokage. Sama. I am still concerned about what Orochimaru said. Let young Sasuke proceed as he is, and we shall keep our eyes on him, Hiruzen responded. Hokage. Sama, exclaimed Anko. However, if the curse mark begins to spread and cause his power to rampage, then we shall indeed take steps to restrain him, Hiruzen concluded. Ibiki replied, yes, sir. Well then, we'll begin the preliminaries, which consist of individual combat matches, as though this were part of a tournament. As there are a total of 24 combatants remaining, we will hold a total of 12 bouts. And the victors of those bouts will advance to the third exam. This is no holds barred combat. Each pair of combatants will fight until one of them is dead or unconscious, or admits defeat. Cough. As soon as you sense that your opponent is overpowering you, immediately concede your loss, if you value your life. Since we don't want a total blood bath on our hands, there may be cases, cough, where we ascertain that there is an undisputed winner and step in to end the match. But don't count on that. From here on out, the key to your fate is held in, Hayate replied. Anko said into a microphone, open it. A wooden board on the wall opened to reveal an electronic scoreboard. This electronic score board. At the start of every round, we will display the names of the two combatants competing in that match, cough, so, not to hurry you all to the slaughter, but let's begin. We'll now announce the first two names. Hayate said, and everyone was waiting for the names to appear. Sasuke Uchiha versus Yoroi Akato. Well, right away, isn't that right? Sasuke pondered. I couldn't have planned it more perfectly, hehe, Yoroi pondered. Oh, please don't, not Sasuke-kun, Sakura pondered. Sasuke and Yoroi moved forward and faced each other as Hayate went on. Akato Yoroi, Uchiha Sasuke. You two have been selected to compete in the first bout. Any objections? Hayate asked. Will the individuals whose names are listed on the board come forward now? None, Yoroi uttered. I'm fine, Sasuke declared. Now, all I can do is stand here and keep an eye on him. Sasuke-kun, Sakura pondered. Sasuke. Don't you dare lose now if you intend to fight me later, Naruto pondered. There's a problem with Sasuke-kun, Ino reflected. It's being caused by the curse mark, Dosu pondered. Sasuke. Good luck. Lee pondered. Prove your worth to us. Neji pondered. As the curse mark continued to hurt, Sasuke thought. The pain isn't getting any better. Hey, it looks like the boy is hurting, Yoroi pondered. Everyone moved toward the stairs leading to the upper gallery as Hayate said, it's time for the first round to commence, alright. Cough. Everyone other than the two combatants should move up to the upper gallery now. As Shu passed Sasuke, he said, Sasuke, you don't have to worry about that mark. Sasuke questioned, huh? What do you mean? Before Shu abruptly placed his hand on his curse mark, causing the pain to abruptly subside. The pain's gone. As he walked on, Shu remarked, it's a dragon scale. This one in particular is meant to seal away the curse mark. And only shadow power can destroy it. Astute little dragon, removing the curse mark in that manner. Well, whatever. After all, I guess I won't be able to witness him using that mark's power. Orochimaru, who was posing as Team Dosu's sensei, thought. Hayate said, all right, please begin. Hayate said, all right, please begin. Shall I start? Yoroi asked, making a sign with his hands. According to Sasuke, go for it. A blue energy then engulfed Yoroi's right arm before he produced 3 shuriken and hurled them at Sasuke. But before weaving a series of hand signals, Sasuke deflected the shuriken with a kunai. He yelled, Kaden. Gukakyo no Jutsu, as he hurled a huge ball of fire at Yoroi, who merely extended his right hand in an apparent attempt to block it. However, the fire appeared to be drawn into Yoroi's hand as the ball of heated oxygen struck it. Remember that Yoroi absorbs chakra, so Kurama no Kyubi. Nani? Sasuke thought, startled. Sakura said, hey, what just happened? I thought he hit him. It seems that this Yoroi character is somehow able to absorb chakra, Kakashi responded. Then, as he performed a series of hand signals, Sasuke threw 3 shuriken at Yoroi, who just avoided them. Sasuke shouted, Kaden. Housenka no Jutsu, as he hurled multiple smaller balls of fire in Yoroi's direction. Yoroi then tried to absorb the attack's chakra, making it totally innocuous, but shuriken unexpectedly materialized from inside the fireballs. Shuriken were present in the flames. As every shuriken struck its target, he thought in disbelief. That's the way it is. After observing Yoroi's actions with his Sharingan, which he activated just before using the Housenka, Sasuke thought, he's absorbing the chakra out of my ninjutsu. Well, in that case. Then, surrounded by a green aura, Yoroi lunged at Sasuke and tried to seize the Uchiha's neck, but the latter just rolled aside and leapt back. Now, then, let me show you the true gap between our powers, Sasuke replied. The true gap between our powers, you say? You shouldn't get too cocky, rookie, Yoroi replied. When Naruto realized what his teammate was planning, he yelled, hey, Sasuke, what do you think you're doing? Then, to the surprise of almost everyone in the room, Minotaur rose from the floor and Sasuke grinned. Ino questioned, what the? Sasuke.kun too, according to Shikamaru, looks like it. Choji questioned, man, what's with that team? A shadow? Asuma thought, and at his age too. Kiba said, what is that thing? From the looks of it, it seems that his shadow has taken a physical shape, said Shino. It's clear that his shadow has materialized, but how is that even possible? Kurenai thought, I've never heard of any techniques like that. Lee questioned, what happened to his shadow? Kurama no Kyubi. He doesn't really remember that much because he was almost unconscious when Sakura first called forth her shadow and when Naruto later called forth his. While Neji just watched, Tenten remarked, it looks like what Naruto did in the forest. I see that Sasuke has also unlocked his shadow. Kakashi wondered if the curse mark caused it or if he used his own abilities to accomplish it. Tamari inquired, what do you think that thing is? I don't know, but I'm getting a bad feeling about this. Kankuro said before he noticed that Gaara's eyes were twitching, I've got a really bad feeling about this. Let's see you absorb this. Fire sword. Sasuke said before Minotaur's right arm was covered in crimson flames and he shot forth towards Yoroi before swinging his arm down. Yoroi attempted to block however, but that seemed to be a bad mistake as he wasn't able to absorb the attack and said attack struck home, knocking the older Konoha.nin out. Good thinking. Shadows uses nature energies instead of normal chakra, so Yoroi's chakra absorption ability would pretty much be rendered useless against Minotaur's attacks. Shu thought. I can tell without even looking, Hayate thought as he observed Yoroi's burned body before standing up and saying, Uchiha Sasuke is the champion of the first battle, and advances past the preliminaries to the next level. Minotaur then disappeared back into Sasuke's shadow as said Uchiha walked towards the stairs and up to the upper gallery. He's handling his shadow powers much more efficiently than most people, and to think he's able to pull off an attack like Fire Sword without anyone training him, a true Uchiha indeed. I just hope he doesn't get too dependent on his shadow, Jiro thought. Ooh. Sasuke.kun. You're the best, Ino said. I'm starving. My stomach could not be more empty, Choji said. That's it. We're done for, Shikamaru thought. Wow, Hinata said. Come on, it wasn't that great, Kiba said. Orochimaru, who was disguised as Team Dosu's sensei, shivered in excitement before licking his lips. Brilliant. All right, Sasuke, you did it, Naruto said as Sasuke reached them. Uchiha Sasuke, what is he? Neji thought before activating his Byakugan to scan Sasuke, but he didn't find anything out of the ordinary. Well then, right. Let's get the next match going, Hayate said before the next two names came up on the score board. Zaku Abumi versus Aburame Shino. Who's that loser? Zaku asked. Soon after were Zaku and Shino both standing in the middle of the room, facing each other. All right, everyone. It's time for the second match of the prelims to begin, Hayate replied. Sakura recalled him and thought, it's that Otto.nin. Hinata remarked, I hope Shino is up to this. He's pretty tough. Out of all the people here, he's the only one I wouldn't want to go up against, said Kiba. Hayate said, okay, you may begin. Kakashi noticed that Orochimaru had abruptly stopped shining and quickly stopped shining as well. Naruto said, huh? Kakashi. Sensei? Sakura asked, where'd he go? As the sensei of Team Shu narrowed his eyes and glanced in the direction of Kakashi's recent location. Tower, corridor, Forest of Death. Kakashi emerged behind Orochimaru as he was moving through a tower corridor. When Orochimaru stopped walking, Kakashi said, tell me, Otto.nin, why did you leave? Orochimaru said, looks like you're all grown up, Kakashi.kun. He then turned around and took off his face. You're, Kakashi uttered, his eye appearing to widen. A lot of time has passed, Orochimaru remarked. Orochimaru, uttered Kakashi. I apologize for being impolite, Kakashi.kun, but I don't need you, Orochimaru said. Kakashi questioned, what do you want with Sasuke? Kakashi realized what he was after. Orochimaru said, oh, you know how it is, two guys have something, and a third one's just got to get it, too. You haven't had it for very long yourself, you know. Know what it is yet? It's the Sharingan. I must possess Uchiha blood. What for? Inquired Kakashi. The newly created village of Otogakure, that is my home, you see, is it becoming clear? Orochimaru replied. Kakashi remarked, so it's just your greed and delusions of grandeur. I suppose you could say that. Good help is so hard to find these days, and I need all sorts of pawns at my disposal. Orochimaru replied. Kakashi questioned, so, you think that Sasuke is one of your pawns? Oh, he's a very special pawn, a real keeper, unlike the boys who are going through the rigors of the exam process right now. Those boys are disposable, Orochimaru replied. A dark, brown aura suddenly enveloped Kakashi, and then a three-headed dog appeared out of the earth. Before Orochimaru began to laugh, Kakashi remarked, stay away from Sasuke. Even if you are one of those three ninja, the man I am today can take you down. Orochimaru then asked, what's so funny? Orochimaru remarked, you say one thing, and do another. What? Inquired Kakashi. The dragon scale Shu.kun placed upon Sasuke.kun was futile. When a heart is sufficiently focused and ruthless in its desires, then, for good or evil, the end will justify any means. Sasuke.kun possesses just such a heart, the heart of an avenger. Orochimaru concluded. So that's how you got your hooks into him, but Sasuke's not, Kakashi replied. A day will come when he will seek me out, hungry for power. Meanwhile, I believe you were offering to kill me. Care to try? Or are you all talk? Orochimaru responded. Then, as he swung the sword of lightning down at Orochimaru, who was suddenly enveloped in a dark purple aura. Kakashi's shadow's right hand was engulfed in thunder. TCH. Thunder a sword. Orochimaru exclaimed, "Shield us!" And Serpent arose as a shield materialized around them, shielding him from the Thundera sword. Then Orochimaru released a wave of killing intent, and Kakashi unexpectedly died at the hands of the snake Sannin. Did I make a mistake? Am I some sort of idiot? As Orochimaru remembered Serpent, Kakashi thought, turned around, and left. Tower, Arena, and Forest of Death. Hayate examined Zaku, who was lying on the floor with his right arm blown off, and then got to his feet. He said, "He's finished." Lee turned to his teammate and said, What the, how did, Neji? Byakugan. As he turned on his family's Kekkei Genkai to watch Shino, Neji thought, "Whoa, I thought he'd used a Kachiyose to marshal the bugs, but his whole body's infested with them." Nani? Inquired Lee. "There's a legend in Konoha of a clan of beetle masters," Guy replied. "Yes, now that you mention it, I've heard the birthright of anyone born into the clan is that from the moment they enter the world, their bodies are given over to the crawling vermin to use as nests. The beetle masters enter into a contract with the bugs, wherein the swarms will answer to the master's call, fighting his battles and bending to his will, and the beetles are compensated by the abundance of the master's chakra, which they consume for food," Neji replied. "And you're telling me that Shino is a member of this clan?" Lee inquired. Dosu said, "Poor Zaku." Kin questioned, "Why did his arms explode?" According to Dosu, as Zaku was being carried away by a couple of medics, "We didn't know each other well, but he's a member of my team." From the look of things, this Shino character directed the beetles to plug up the exit holes in Zaku's hands. When Zaku tried to unleash the Zankuha, the pressure built up inside his arm with nowhere to go, until, like a gun barrel when the path of a bullet is blocked, Zaku blew his own arm off. Additionally, teammates watch out for each other. Making sure there is payback is what I'm doing. "Aburame Shino is the winner," declared Hayate. Before Shino approached them, Kurenai thought, that guy freaks me out." Hinata remarked, Shino.kun, nice job." Kiba said, "That was awesome." Shino responded, "Yep. So, don't let the team down." Kiba shouted, "Hey," and then thought, all of a sudden, he's acting like he's in charge of us. We're moving on to the next match." Cough, Hayate replied. Naruto cried out, "Kakashi! Sensei!" as Kakashi appeared there using Sunshine no Jutsu. "Yo!" exclaimed Kakashi. Sakura questioned, "What do you mean, yo? Why did you suddenly vanish?" Kakashi remarked, "I just had to go check up on something." Kakashi.san, your attempt to battle Orochimaru alone was reckless. What comes next? Will you attempt to defeat Uchiha Itachi by yourself? Though he chose to ignore it, Kakashi could hear Logi's voice in his mind. Kurama no Kyubi. You don't know, Logi. Sasuke exclaimed, "Hey, look," as he saw the next two names appear. Masumi Tsurugi versus Kankuro. Finally, it's my turn, Kankuro pondered before making his way down. Baki thought, Kankuro isn't taking this seriously at all. Stupid. Gaara pondered. Him again. As Naruto recognized the older boy, he thought. After the two competitors had gotten down, Hayate said, "All right, then, you may begin. Even though you're just a little brat, I'm not letting down my guard like Yoroi did. In fact, let me make one thing perfectly clear, you'd be better off forfeiting the match before you get hurt. This won't take long at all," Masumi responded. Kankuro put down the bandaged object he had been carrying on his back and said, "I agree, I'll be finished with you in no time." The fight ended quickly as Masumi encircled Kankuro and squeezed until the Suna Nin's neck broke. However, it seemed to be nothing more than a puppet that had been momentarily transformed to resemble Kankuro. The real Kankuro was concealed in the bandages, and he forced the puppet to squeeze Masumi in his place. Due to Masumi's inability to fight back, the winner of the match is Kankuro, stated Hayate. Two of them against one guy, isn't that against the rules? Isn't it, Kakashi? Sensei, replied Naruto. Kakashi stated, not in this instance, Naruto. The other guy is just a golem of some sort. Kugutsu no Jutsu. He manipulates a lifeless doll by projecting the power of his chakra. The golem is a weapon, just like shuriken, Sakura clarified. Hayate stated, in any event, it's time for the fourth match. Whoa, whoa. This is like a never-ending freak show, said Naruto. With a sly smile, Sasuke said, look who's talking. Good one. Sakura exclaimed, laughing. Everyone looked up as Sasuke said, Well, this'll be interesting. The next two names were displayed. Ra Bouquet versus Kabuto Yakushi. Looking at Bouquet, Naruto exclaimed, hey, Bouquet. Chan, it's your turn, at her. While Bouquet and Kabuto were walking down, Sasuke thought, I've been wanting to find out what kind of powers these Ryu nins have. Tamari said, hey, isn't that the girl we met in the forest? Kankuro responded, yeah, the one that Gaara spared. Ho ho, Hiruzen thought, this will be interesting. Hayate said, all right, then, you may begin. Kabuto said, I recommend that you leave the game. Bouquet stated, in fact, it might be best for you to withdraw. Before going through a series of hand signals, Kabuto said, hey. We'll see, and both of his hands were glowing blue. Sakura inquired, chakra scalpels. Chakra what? Now? Inquired Naruto. Chakra scalpels. It's a medical technique in which you can operate on the insides of a patient's body without harming the exterior. And, if you're good enough, it can even be used in battle by hitting your opponent's pressure points. Kakashi clarified. Naruto said, whoa. Sounds neat. However, only a Jonin level person could do that. In what way, then, could a mere genin wield a chakra scalpel in combat? Kakashi pondered. The Konoha.nin then ducked and struck a pressure point in Bouquet's left shoulder before kicking her away as Bouquet lunged at him and tried to punch him. Kabuto saw that Bouquet stood up and said, you should surrender. How are you planning on fighting with only one arm? Before she moved her arm, she questioned, hey, who said that I couldn't use my arm? Nani? Kabuto pondered. Before she was enveloped in a purple aura and a hippo emerged from the floor, Bouquet said, it's time for me to show you some of my tricks. She exclaimed, Hippopon Hippotoma transform. Turn me into Yakushi Kabuto. Before a cloud of smoke engulfed her, and as the smoke dissipated, Kabuto's form emerged. Sakura questioned, how's she expecting to beat him with a henge? After activating his Sharingan, Sasuke remarked, that's no mere henge. Naruto said, huh? What do you mean, Sasuke? With my Sharingan, I can see through any illusion, and a henge can't fool me, but, when I look at her, she's identical to Kabuto in every way. Even her signature's the same. Sasuke replied. There must be more to it, Kabuto reasoned, since if she had come this far, she would be aware that a henge would be ineffective in a real battle. After flawlessly mimicking Kabuto's voice, Bouquet said, well, then. Shall we continue? Before making a series of hand signals and then having chakra scalpels appear around her hands. That's it, then. She has the ability to change into her opponents and employ their strategies, but something still irritates me. Instead of just attacking me like she did, why didn't she do this right away? Kabuto pondered. After charging at Kabuto, Bouquet tried to strike him, but the auto spy used his own chakra scalpel to block her. Kabuto simply ducked beneath her and struck her in the stomach with his other hand before kicking her in the jaw and drawing a kunai. Bouquet then aimed her other hand at his forehead. But Bouquet was able to jump backwards and escape the knife's slash. I see. The reason you seemed to just blindly charge at me before was because you wanted me to hit you. It was the only way you could copy my technique. Sorry, but it seems like you just can't beat the original. Also, it seems like you can only transform yourself into your opponents, so you can't win this. Kabuto replied. Yeah, that's true. But it seems like you've misunderstood my technique, and that's a very bad mistake, Bouquet replied. Kabuto questioned, what do you mean? My technique isn't just limited by the ones I'm fighting, but by whoever and whatever I see. Basically, as long as I've seen something just once in my life, I can transform into it whenever I want, for the rest of my life, Bouquet stated. Hippopon Hippotoma transform. Turn me into the creepiest guy from Suna. The smoke continued to puff, and when it subsided, Gaara was visible. What the? Gaara? Tamari pondered. She got creepiest, exactly right, Kankuro thought. Now let's see if I can do this, said Bouquet, causing her gourd's cork to shoot out before the sand emerged. She can even manipulate the sand, so did she make it through a fight with Gaara? Baki pondered, then recalled Konkuro's previous statement. Yeah, the one that Gaara spared. Why Gaara of all people would spare her life is beyond me, he pondered. A tendril of sand rushed forward and covered Kabuto's entire body, except for his face, as Bouquet exclaimed, "Now, let's try this out. Sabaku Q. Don't worry, I won't go for the so-so part. Not that I'm able to, that is. But this should at least be enough to end the match." Hayate declared, since Kabuto can't fight back, the winner is Ra Bouquet. Bouquet released Kabuto from the sand as she transformed back into her normal form, and the sand also disappeared. Naruto cried, "Whoa, Bouquet. Shan won. How did she accomplish such a transformation?" As Bouquet approached them, Sasuke thought, "I've never seen or heard of anything like it." "Way to go, Bouquet. Chan." Naruto gave her a thumbs up and congratulated her. Bouquet said, "Arigato, Naruto.kun." Hayate declared, "It's time for the next battle to begin." Kabuto had also made his way back to the upper gallery, seemingly uninjured. Naruto said, "So, tell me, Bouquet. Chan. How did you do that transformation? Could you teach it to me?" Bouquet blushed at the idea of imparting knowledge to him. "Actually, it's a technique that only I can use due to my shadow. Only people with a hippopotamus shadow can do it," she replied. Disappointed, Naruto uttered, "Oh. I see," as Sakura turned around after feeling a hand on her shoulder while she was watching the two interact. Shu pointed to the scoreboard. Sakura turned to face the scoreboard, and her eyes widened when she noticed the next two names were Sakura Haruno versus Ino Yamanaka. Soon after, the two kunoichi appeared in the center of the room, facing one another. Before Sakura removed her Hite.8, Ino remarked, "So, Sakura, it's you and me, going head.to. Head. I never saw it coming." "WH. What the?" exclaimed Naruto. Although Ino appears to be quite fierce, she is by no means the best of the kunoichi rookies. Asuma pondered, so you have to wonder if she can even give Sakura a good workout. Of all the people for Ino to go up against, it would have to be Sakura. What a drag. Shikamaru replied. Choji inquired, "Do you think Ino will be alright?" "Yes, Ino." "What are you going to do?" Asuma pondered. "Understand this, I'm never letting you anywhere near Sasuke.kun, Sakura replied. "What?" shouted Ino. "You're not even his type, and I'm not the weak, needy little girl I used to be. You're not even on my radar now," Sakura responded. "Sakura, I think you've forgotten who you're talking to. Don't cop an attitude with me, you little crybaby," Ino replied. "Aw, man. Sakura just crossed the line. That Ino chick scares me silly," said Naruto. Sakura's not trying to throw her weight around, and she's not the kind who'd bully someone just to be cruel. She's just making sure Ino is too riled up to think of going easy on her, for old time's sake," Kakashi responded. Naruto questioned, "What are they getting so intense about?" Kakashi sighed. Guy gave him a glare when Kakashi said, "Well, Naruto, rivalry is a tricky business, not that I would know." He simply couldn't see that he was the same way about Sasuke. "I understand, Sakura. Let's settle this amicably." As she removed her Hite.8 and Sakura and she wrapped them around their foreheads, Ino pondered. Then, as Sakura performed a series of hand signals, the two charged at one another. Just Bunshin, plain and simple. This isn't an academy graduation exam, you know. You can't beat me with classic, textbook moves, Ino thought, recognizing the sequence, and two more Sakuras appeared. It will be easy to tell the real one from the fakes. I'll concentrate all of my chakra in my feet before I go up. Before she and the Bunshins abruptly disappeared in a flash of speed, Sakura pondered. She moves so quickly. As the Bunshins disappeared, Ino pondered for a moment before Sakura suddenly materialized and punched her in the face. I may have been a crybaby back in the day, but who's crying now? Come on, Ino. Stop holding back. I know you can do better than this, Sakura screamed. If that's the way you want it, fine by me. The gloves are off, Ino replied. Naruto remarked, look at Sakura. Chan go, she's awesome. Sakura is a solid contender. Her mastery of the fundamental techniques for the utilization of chakra is definitely the best among the rookies, Kakashi stated. Naruto questioned, even better than me? Yeah. Kakashi responded before continuing, the technical art of circulating chakra to every nook and cranny of the body and deploying it with precise timing is an area in which Sakura has surpassed even Sasuke. From the beginning, her mastery of chakra manipulation has been superb. Oh, Sakura-san, it's fun to watch you move, Lee pondered. Before punching, Sakura and Ino charged at one another, but both of them used their free hands to block the other's blow. Then they jumped back, after which they each took out a shuriken and threw the star-shaped projectiles at each other, but they struck each other. However, Lee reflected, her opponent is also far above the norm. It looks like a fair fight. It could drag on and on. When did she become so tough? She was such a baby. After the match had lasted a long time, Ino pondered. I'm capable. Yes, I can. Sakura pondered as she and Ino exchanged blows, and this time they struck one another, sending them both reeling back. This could go on forever the way they're going, Sasuke thought. They've been working on it for at least 10 minutes, and it's taking a long time, Hayate thought. Ino screamed, you can't be my equal, it's unthinkable. HMPH, you're right. The magnitude of your obsession with your long, flowing hair and superficial appearances is peerless. I'm just no match for you, Sakura responded. Making fun of me? You've gone too far, Ino screamed, drawing a kunai weapon. Ino's an idiot, letting Sakura's words get to her like that. She's falling right into Sakura's trap, said Shikamaru. Choji remarked, I don't like seeing Ino this way. To everyone's surprise, Ino then cut her hair just behind the start of the ponytail with the kunai. It was Sakura who said, ha ha, you fool. Oh my god, she's gone completely crazy, Shikamaru pondered. Ino shouted, "Yah! This is nothing," and then threw her hair on the ground. "She's frightful," Naruto uttered. "You said it," began Sasuke. Ino wove a hand sign and exclaimed, "This ends now. I'm gonna make your lips say, I give up." Shikamaru said, "Don't tell me, she couldn't mean." Asuma leaned forward and Choji remarked, "She's thinking about it." As Ino's arms were outstretched, making the sign for Shintenshin no Jutsu, Sakura thought, "I recognize that sign. Just as I thought, it's her signature Shintenshin move, transferring heart and soul from one body to another." Shikamaru screamed. Asuma said, "That baka. I understand your impatience, but you're wasting your time," Sakura replied. Ino remarked, "HMPH. We'll see about that. I see what you're planning. Shintenshin no Jutsu, where all of your psychic and spiritual energy is loosed upon your enemy, and you usurp the psyche of your opponent, reducing your rival to helplessness within her own body while you possess it. But that formidable art has a few inherent flaws. First of all, that bolt of mental energy can only move along a direct path, and it moves very slowly. Secondly, even if that packet of mental energy should miss its target, it is unable to return to the attacker's body for several minutes. And during that time, your own body remains limp, helpless, vulnerable as a rag doll," Sakura clarified. Asuma thought, the Shintenshin is an unmatched tool for infiltration and espionage, but using it in a heads-up fight is suicide. As long as Sakura poses a moving target, she is safe. Sakura can also punish Ino's helpless body until her spirit can return if she tries her jutsu and fails. Kakashi thought, Hayate will have to end the match if it comes to that. "What of it? No one knows what will happen here until I give it a try," Ino screamed. "You'll only get one chance. If you miss, it's over. You know it as well as I do," Sakura replied. Ino's jutsu should only ever be used in tandem with her teammates during combat. This is ridiculous. She should never use it until I use my Kagemain no Jutsu to freeze them first, Shikamaru pondered. Before Sakura began to run, Asuma thought, she's not even going to hit her mark. "No, you fool," shouted Shikamaru. When Sakura stopped running, Ino yelled, "Ninpo! Shintenshin no Jutsu," before her body sagged. "Who's who?" inquired Shikamaru. Sakura remarked, "Hey, you lose, Ino." "I suppose that's it now," Shikamaru uttered. Incredibly, Choji remarked, "I can't believe she actually tried it." Sakura said, "I guess you're done." She was going to approach Ino's body when she discovered that she was immobile and looked down to discover that some of Ino's hair had stuck to her feet. This is, Sakura said. Gotcha, Sakura. Sakura then turned to face Ino, who was kneeling and using her hair to channel chakra, which was why she was immobile. Hey, I set a trap, and you fell for it, Sakura said. You're not implying. Sakura uttered. Yep. The hand signs I made earlier were just a distraction, to keep you from seeing the real trap. You zigged, you zagged, and you fell right into it. Can't move at all, can you? I made a living rope by running chakra through my own cut hair. Ino said before getting up and making the hand signals once more. And now that I've got you where I want you, I can take up occupancy, and make you surrender. I think the odds are 100% I'm gonna hit my target, don't you think? Kakashi remarked, looks like it. That nut, making herself look like a loser so she could win. Shikamaru replied. I've never seen the Shintention in action before. This should be quite interesting, though I'll doubt that she'll get much result. Shu responded. Huh? Why's that? Responded Naruto. Shu grinned and said, just watch and see for yourself. I am unable to move. Sakura pondered. Ino exclaimed, and so, Shintention no Jutsu. Before Sakura's head and body began to sag. Before she felt something, Sakura said, hey, too bad, Sakura. Sakura's mental landscape. She looked around in confusion as Ino appeared out of nowhere in a field of cherry blossoms. What the? Where am I? Before turning around to see a massive phoenix, she felt a shadow looming over her. Kurama no Kyubi. Take note that this is Phoenix in her full phoenix form, complete with talons, rather than in her shadow form. The phoenix screamed, leave, and Ino felt everything turn black. Tower, arena, and forest of death. Sakura's body suddenly emitted a beam of chakra into Ino's, and both girls opened their eyes, panting, though Ino's was heavier than Sakura's. Amazing. Indeed, she managed to free herself from Ino's grip. Shikamaru pondered. Naruto said, hey. What happened? Where do you think a shadow? Wielder's shadow is, when not on the outside? Shu responded. Shu sighed as Naruto said, I dunno. Whenever a shadow. Wielder's shadow isn't on the outside, they're in their respective wielder's mindscape. Which is the same place that one using the Shintention goes to whenever using said jutsu. So basically, Ino was thrown out by Phoenix. Jiro clarified. I didn't think that Phoenix or whatever would be in there, Ino replied. Before a pink aura enveloped her and Phoenix emerged from the floor, Sakura questioned, well, where else should she be? She too, huh? Asuma thought, well, that explains why the Shintention didn't work. Sakura said, I think it's time to end this, wouldn't you say? Sure. Ino replied before removing a kunai that had multiple explosive tags fastened to it and hurling it in Sakura's direction. Before the kunai struck and all of the explosive tags exploded, Sakura exclaimed, shield, and held out her arm, causing a shield to materialize around her and Phoenix. However, the shield remained in place as the smoke subsided, and Sakura was unharmed before the shield disappeared because it had outlived its usefulness. Sakura exclaimed, and now, fire! Phoenix's feathers appeared to begin to burn before she flapped her wings, sending a wave of fire in Ino's direction. Ino barely avoided the wave, but it was clear that she was unable to continue the battle. Since Ino can't continue to fight, I'm stopping this match now, before it goes any further, Hayate said prior to continuing. The winner is Haruno Sakura. Naruto shouted, okay, way to go, Sakura-chan, as Sakura remembered her shadow. To be honest, I didn't anticipate this. I would never have imagined that Sakura would have a shadow, and one as strong as a phoenix too, Kakashi thought, although Naruto and Sasuke were somewhat predictable. Sakura and Ino quickly rejoined their teams, and everyone awaited the next two names to be called. Tenten versus Temari. Tenten and Temari descended the stairs and moved to the middle of the room when Hayate said, the sixth match of the preliminaries, Tenten against Temari, please step forward. Hey, look, another candidate from Suna. This should be fun, Neji replied. Lee shouted, yeah, Tenten, go, Hayate exclaimed, begin, prior to the altercation. Tenten, harness the strength of youth, shouted Lee. Guy shouted, that's the spirit, keep encouraging her. This battle was a complete mismatch. Tenten attempted to use her weapons to strike Tamari, but the Suna.Nin effortlessly destroyed them with her futon jutsu. And after Tenten had launched 3 attacks in all, Tamari's single blow defeated her, causing her to land with her back against the Suna.Nin's folded fan. She shut down Tenten's weapons attack like it was nothing, Neji exclaimed. Impossible! Exclaimed Lee. Tamari remarked, how dull, it's a shame really. No one in particular was asked by Naruto, what's her story? Well, we weren't about to let ourselves be defeated in a place like this, now were we? Kankuro replied. The Suna warriors are absolutely terrifying, Hiruzen pondered. As Hayate exclaimed, the winner of the 6th round match is Tamari. Tamari then threw Tenten, but Lee was able to catch her. Nice catch, said Tamari. As he set Tenten down, Lee screamed, what's wrong with you? That's not how you treat a worthy opponent, especially not one you've just defeated. Lee became enraged when Tamari said, oh, shut up. Get yourself and that loser out of my way. Neji shouted, no, Lee, but his teammate ignored him. As Lee lunged for a roundhouse kick, Tamari blocked it with her fan, saying, Konoha Senpo. What the? Ha! Just as I thought, you're not so fast, after all, Tamari replied. Lee said, what, that's enough, Lee, Guy exclaimed, avoiding the spotlight. Guy. Sensei, asserted Lee. Tamari, get back up here, you've already been declared the winner. How long do you intend to trifle with that homely little Prince Charming? Asked Gaara. Lee looked Gaara in the eyes and said, what? After asking, had enough now, Lee? Guy turned to face the Suna.Nins and said, my dear friends from Suna, if it's okay with you, I'd like to give you some advice. Be ready. You have no idea how strong this boy truly is. He actually picked to fight those freaks from Suna in his place. I'd have run for cover, said Kiba. Hinata exclaimed, they really creep me out. Naruto, don't let them beat you, Sakura exclaimed. Don't worry, I won't, Naruto grinned. Sasuke said, be careful, Naruto. They're pretty strong. Okay. My turn. I'm good to go. Who thinks he can take me? Said Naruto. With his appearance between Naruto and Shu, Lee exclaimed, who's next? I have a feeling it's me. Shikamaru Nara versus Tsuchi Kin. Ah, man, exclaimed Lee. Kuso. Exclaimed Naruto. Me, eh? Asked Shikamaru. As Kin began to move toward the stairs, Dosu remarked, he manipulates shadows, be wary of them. Hey, it'll take a lot more than a stupid technique like that to beat me, Kin replied. As they stood in the middle of the room, Shikamaru remarked, this is such a drag, and how embarrassing, being expected to fight a girl. If that's the way you feel, I'll put you out of your misery quickly, Kin replied. Ino shouted, Shikamaru, don't you dare lose. Well, Ino is suddenly very energetic, Choji pondered. Even though we battled during the second exam and I learned about the Auto Ninja's strengths, I have no idea what this one's specialty is. She has, however, had a good chance to watch me in action. However, Shikamaru pondered. The battle began as Hayate uttered the words, begin, cough. Kin threw some senbon with bells on them, and the senbons went into the wall behind Shikamaru, ending the brief battle. In order to keep Kin from seeing him coming, Shikamaru followed his shadow beneath the threads that were fastened to the bells. Shikamaru threw a shuriken at Kin when she was trapped by the Kagemane, forcing her to do the same. They both leaned back and dodged the lethal throwing stars just before the shuriken hit, but Kin was too close to the wall and her head struck it so forcefully that she was knocked out. A shinobi uses everything to his advantage, including the terrain, and the architecture as well. You were locked into the same movements as I, but only one of us was close enough to the wall to give herself a concussion. The shuriken were just a distraction, so you wouldn't notice where you were standing. Shikamaru continued. Hayate declared, the winner is Nara Shikamaru. Ino shouted, nice one, Shikamaru, awesome, exclaimed Shoji. And the guy acts totally humble, man, that was cool, said Naruto. And now it's just up to me, Dosu reflected. Hinata, Naruto, one of the Auto Ninjas, Choji, Neji, and Lee, 2 Ryu. Nins, and that guy from Suna are the only ones who haven't competed yet. Please don't let it be the sand guy, Kiba pondered. Neji looked at Hinata out of the corner of his eye and thought, the rookies this year seem to be showing some promise, but... Before the names were announced, Hayate said, next up will be... Jiro Uchiha versus Lee Rock. Jiro interrupted, my turn, eh? When Shu struck Jiro's back with his open palm, the Ryu.Nin fell over the railings and straight to the floor below. Alright, Jiro. Good luck, he said with a broad smile. Well, Kakashi thought, he's Naruto's ancestor, all right. Look at this. It's another one of the Ryu ninja, this should be interesting, Tamari responded. Then Jiro stood up and moved to where Hayate was standing in the center of the room. Guy yelled, Yosh, go. Get, I am Lee, and gave a thumbs up. Yes, Guy. Sensei, shouted Lee, who saluted him. Guy continued, oh, and Lee. Lee said, what is it, Guy? Sensei. From that sword of his, I suspect that he's a Kenjutsu user, so you should move quickly, and when you're not attacking him, keep your distance, Guy replied. Lee jotted down, I see, on a piece of paper. Stop taking notes. You won't have time to consult them in the heat of battle, Guy replied. Lee said, I see. I hope Lee.San is okay, Sakura pondered. Guy said, all right, now go, Lee. Lee said, yes, sir, and leapt to the ground. Sasuke looked at Jiro and remarked, HMPH. I've wanted to find out what kind of abilities he's got. Following Hayate's command, all right, then. Begin, the battle started. Lee launched a punch right away, but Jiro sidestepped it and kicked his opponent away while closing his eyes. Neo. Sharingan, Jiro exclaimed, opening his eyes to see two Sharingans, one red and one green. What the? The typical Sharingan isn't like that, Lee pondered. Well, Neo. Sharingan. Kakashi pondered. What happened to his eyes? They look like the Sharingan, but are different, Naruto replied. Sakura replied, yeah, now that you mention it. Shu made the three genin of Team 7 turn to face him when he said, that's the Neo. Sharingan. Neo. Sharingan. As he peered at them out of the corner of his eye, Neji thought. It's more powerful than an ordinary Sharingan, and comes with more abilities as well. Plus, its perceptive powers are far more accurate, and it is said that if one unlocks the Neo Sharingan, they can unlock the Mangekyo through hard work alone. Shu said, and Sasuke's eyes widened during the section. Will hard work be enough to unlock the Mangekyo? He pondered. With a head tilt, Naruto questioned, what's a Mangekyo? It's the strongest known form of the Sharingan. Some of its abilities can cause blindness if used too many times, though. Bouquet stated. Sasuke inquired, so, how do you unlock the Neo Sharingan? That's something you'll have to find out on your own, I'm afraid, Shu replied. Fantastic. Sasuke pondered, maybe I need the Mangekyo to read that part. The tablet at the Nakano shrine didn't specify how to unlock it. Jiro made a series of hand signals before closing his eyes, which gave Lee the chance to strike. He shouted, Konoha Senpo, as he tried to roundhouse kick Jiro, but according to reports, Uchiha leapt over the kick and over Lee's head before using his heel to kick Lee in the head, sending his opponent flying. Nani. Before planting his feet and skidding farther away from Jiro and finally stopping, Lee thought, how did you see my attack? You had your eyes closed. He then put his palm on the ground. Before opening his eyes to show that they had turned pale, almost as if he were blind, Jiro said, you shouldn't let appearances fool you. Even though my eyes are closed, it doesn't mean that I can't see you. Nani? Lee exclaimed, startled. Jiro said, there's no way you can win. He then closed his eyes once more. One of the powers of my eyes is to separate my vision from my eyes, so right now, I'm seeing you from two different angles. Lee questioned, two different angles? Jiro charged at Lee after saying, exactly. I do have two eyes after all. However, the Konoha.Nin leapt into the air and landed on top of the statue in the room. With the thumbs up, Guy exclaimed, take them off, Lee. Then, Lee pulled down his leg warmers to reveal weights, which he removed before raising the warmers. He then stood up and released the weights, causing nearly everyone's eyes to widen as the weights hit the ground and created explosions. Then, more quickly than anyone could see, Lee leapt to the ground and kicked Jiro, sending him flying with a roundhouse kick. Seeing that Lee was now as fast as he was, Jiro brought his vision back to his eyes and opened them after regaining his balance in midair and landing on the ground. Lee then lunged at Jiro and tried to punch him, but Jiro dodged the blow and then gave Lee a roundhouse kick that sent him flying into the wall. The Konoha.nin caught himself in midair and fell to the ground. Jiro yelled, "Kaden! Gukakyo no Jutsu!" as he unleashed a massive ball of white flames that, in comparison, would make Sasuke's seem like a spark. However, Lee was able to avoid the fireball by using his exceptional speed, and he concluded, "It appears that he is fairly skilled in both taijutsu and ninjutsu. However, why hasn't he practiced kenjutsu yet?" As if he could read Lee's thoughts, Jiro remarked, "If you're wondering why I haven't used my sword yet, it's because you're not worth the effort." "Nani?" Lee wondered, how could he know what I'm? His eyes widened as Jiro finished, thinking, "Hey, Kakashi. Sensei. Isn't what Jiro San's doing now the same thing you did when you fought against Zabuza at Wave?" Sakura inquired. Kakashi replied, "Well, it's similar, but not quite." When Sasuke asked, "What do you mean? Unlike what Jiro San's doing now, I didn't read Zabuza's mind," Kakashi responded. "It's quite simple really. Another power of the Neo Sharingan is the ability to read one's mind. Though reading the mind of someone that has another being inside of them is impossible," Jiro replied. Lee looked up at Guy, who was nodding in agreement, and said, "I see." He then turned back to Jiro and said, "Well, in that case, seems like I can't hold back any longer." After removing the bandages from his arms, Lee ran in circles around the Ryu.nin, crossing his arms in front of his face. Then, after a minute or so, Lee jumped after Jiro and kicked him in the jaw, sending him flying into the air. Then, as his bandages wrapped around the Ryu.nin, Lee materialized behind Jiro in midair, and the two of them abruptly spun down towards the ground at a startlingly high speed. "Omet Renge!" Lee yelled before leaping away, and when Jiro got back up, his eyes widened as he landed. Before noticing Lee's slight sway, Jiro remarked, "Well, I must admit that I didn't expect you to be wielding such a powerful technique. But it seems that it left you at a great disadvantage in the long run." After disappearing, Jiro then materialized in front of Lee and punched him against the wall. Jiro then elbowed him in the back of his neck after he kicked him in the stomach, causing him to lean forward. After that, Lee collapsed to the ground and tried to get to his feet, but Jiro kicked him out. Sakura questioned, "Why doesn't Lee.San just duck? The Renge techniques he just used, it's a double-edged sword," Guy replied. "Fundamentally, it's a forbidden move. Using that level of high-speed taijutsu puts a huge strain on the body. Right now, Lee's nothing but a mass of pain and weakness, isn't that right, Guy?" Kakashi responded. Says Sakura, but that means," Guy remembered the first time he saw Lee and thought, Lee. Rewind at the moment. Lee was running around outside the academy with the other students in his class. One of the children exclaimed, "Ha ha ha ha, you baka, there's no way you'll ever be a ninja." "Yeah. How could someone who can't even use ninjutsu hope to become a ninja?" Someone else responded. "But I will." Lee shot back. "You're not capable of anything but taijutsu, and you're even mediocre at that. What were they thinking? Letting you into the ninja academy?" Another kid said while Lee attempted to ignore him. "Hey, want to know what the other kids call you?" Before he fled and the other children began to laugh, Lee yelled, "No," and covered his ears with his hands. Guy peered out a window at the scene and heard the teacher shout, "Lee, get in line, after him." "Heh, so that's the Gaki they're all gossiping about, the little hot head who couldn't," he replied. The end of the flashback. Guy recalled the moment when Lee, Neji, and Tenten became genin. "But Lee, you took your mediocre skills in taijutsu, and made exercise and practice your obsession, and then," Guy thought. Rewind. Guy stood in front of the three genin and said, "Now that you've officially become genin, I want to hear all about your goals." Neji said, "I don't want to say." "All right," Guy said. "I want to become a strong kunoichi, like my idol, the legendary Tsunade." "Sama," Tenten replied. "Sensei." Lee screamed as he raised his hand. "I want to prove that even a person who can't use ninjutsu or genjutsu can still become a splendid ninja, it's my only goal. Guy thought, he's got good eyes, but Neji laughed and Lee got to his feet, accusing the Hyuga. He shouted, "Hey, what's so funny?" The end of the flashback. Then Guy remembered that he had once witnessed the child training. Rewind. Guy was spying on Lee as he performed push-ups at one of the training fields. Alright, so if I'm not strong enough after 500 push-ups in a row, I'll do 1.200 double skips with the jump rope. As it turned out, a short while later, Lee was performing double skips with the jump rope. And if 1.200 double skips don't do it, then I'll kick the wooden practice dummy 2.000 times. Whoa. 1.116, 1.117, Guy pondered, but Lee stumbled on the rope and fell headlong into the wooden practice dummy, sobbing as he hit the ground. Guy stepped out from behind the tree he had been hiding behind and said, "So, Lee, taking a break already?" Lee stood up. Before kicking the wooden dummy, Lee said, "Did you need something, Guy Sensei? If it's about the blunder I made during our last mission, I thought I'd already made it up to you. You know, you really are very different from Neji. You're no genius at ninjutsu or genjutsu, and you really aren't a taijutsu virtuoso, either. Nevertheless, Lee, there's one area where you completely surpass Neji. You're a genius of another kind with great hidden potential," Guy replied. Lee said, "You're just saying that to be nice," while kicking. As Lee stopped kicking, Guy remarked, "I'm not trying to be nice. I'm just saying that you are a genius of hard work." "Do you really mean that? I have only been able to make it this far by having faith that, if I trained 2 or 3 times as hard as Neji, I might finally beat him. I've always believed that, but lately, I've started to feel that I had no hope of ever measuring up to a true genius like Neji. I've wondered if it was possible for hard work alone to be rewarded, so I've kept challenging Neji, but the results have always been the same. I'm no match for him, and even now, on missions, my legs still tremble in fear that no matter how hard I work, I'll never get stronger. It scares me so much I can't stand it. I don't know what to do," Lee replied. "All your hard work will prove worthless unless you believe in yourself," Guy stated. The end of the flashback. Thank you, Guy Sensei, Lee thought as he got to his feet, remembering it as well, before recalling another exchange he had with his sensei. Rewind. I want to demonstrate that even someone who is incapable of using ninjutsu or genjutsu can become a magnificent ninja. You remind me of myself, way back when I was a complete failure. Nowadays, in matches against that elite genius, Kakashi, we're nearly even. That's your shinobi path, isn't it? It's a great goal, one that's really worth fighting for. It's the path you chose, so have faith and follow it. Become such a strong fighter that I can just sit back and enjoy the show. You got that, Lee?" Guy replied as he stroked the child's forehead. "Yes, sir," shouted Lee. The end of the flashback. Before drawing his sword, Jiro said, "Well, if you still want me to use the sword, fine. I'll use it to finish you off. But before I end this, let me show you that even if you manage to keep your distance, you can't win." Jiro then swung his sword, and a horizontal stream of lightning appeared on the wall before disappearing to reveal a horizontal crack where the stream of lightning had just been. Only the most skilled of Kenjutsu masters can cover their sword in their natural chakra element, but I've taken it even further. Lee asked in surprise, "Nani?" Jiro pointed his sword at Lee and swung it, saying, "As you can see, I'm not like any ordinary swordsman." To the astonishment of nearly everyone, he avoided the blow just in time to leave a diagonal crack in the wall behind him caused by a stream of lightning. He regained his speed. Naruto pondered. The fact that Guy Sensei is relaxing and taking in the performance is enough to get me going again, and to strengthen me more than before. As he smiled and assumed his taijutsu stance, Lee thought. Sakura questioned, "Why is he smiling?" Guy said, drawing the Pinkette's attention, "The lotus of Konoha will bloom twice. He's about to start pushing back." Jiro remarked, "Impressive, but it ends here." "Well, one way or another, the next move will be the last," Lee replied. "Konoha's lotus will bloom twice?" As his visible eye widened, Kakashi thought, "Guy, don't tell me you." Guy responded, "On the contrary, I did." "Then, that kid, who's just a genin, is able to open the Hachiman," Kakashi responded. Guy replied, "Yes, that's right. It's terrible, Kakashi reflected. Guy remarked, he has the talent. No matter how much talent he has, you taught him something horribly dangerous. The Ura Renge tops the list of moves you shouldn't teach, Kakashi screamed. Ura Renge. Neji pondered. It's none of my business what that child means to you, and I'll spare us both the lecture about not being governed by your feelings, but you crossed a line on this. You disappoint me, Guy, Kakashi responded. Guy recalled what Lee had said when he first turned into a genin and remarked, you don't know the first thing about that kid. I want to prove that even a person who can't use ninjutsu or genjutsu can still become a splendid ninja. It's my only goal. As Lee began to hold his arms in an X shape in front of his face, Guy remarked, that boy has something he values so deeply that he's willing to die for the sake of it. That's why I wanted to help him become someone who'd be able to stand up for his ideals. I had to. So tell me, Guy, which of the Hachiman has he gotten up to so far? Kakashi asked after reflecting, so he was able to bounce back from exhaustion with such abnormal speed because he'd forced open the Kumon. Guy said, the Toman. Kakashi's eye widened once more. Since hard work alone shouldn't be able to accomplish that feat, Kakashi reasoned that the boy must be a genius. WH. What are you both talking about? You keep mentioning these, Hachiman? Sakura responded. The Hachiman act as limiters that must be released in preparation for performing the Ura Renge, Guy clarified. As Kakashi revealed his Sharingan by lifting his Hite.8, Sakura questioned, limiters released? Yes, he replied. At 8 specific points along the Kirakuki there are places where the chakra nodes converge. The Kaimon, the Kumon, the Simon, the Shoman, the Toman, the Kimon, the Kiyomon and the Shimon. Those are called the Hachiman. They constantly maintain limits on the amount of chakra flowing through the body, limits that the Renge uses chakra to forcibly override, enabling the user to draw upon strength that is dozens of times his usual level, even if the user's body is destroyed in the process. Incidentally, the Omet Renge opens only the Kaimon, Guy clarified. Sakura inquired, and the Ura Renge? Opening the Kaimon frees the user from his own mental inhibitions. The opening of the Kumon boosts his strength, and with the opening of the Simon, one can begin the Ura Renge, Guy stated. But the Omet Renge alone got him so beat up if he tries to perform any more moves, said Sakura. That's right, this technique is a double-edged sword. The state where all the Hachiman have been opened is called the Hachiman Tonko no Jin, and anyone who achieves that state will, however briefly, be granted strength that surpasses even the Hokages. But in exchange, that person will inevitably die, Kakashi continued. As he considered the 3 individuals he wished to battle the most, Neji, Sasuke, and Naruto, Lee thought, I will not be the only one who fails. Please, Guy. Sensei, take notice of me. Now, of all times, when I eventually achieve my shinobi path. Simon, Kai. He exclaimed as his skin suddenly turned red and tiny rocks began to float around him. The hue of his skin. Sakura pondered, isn't it red? Naruto pondered. He's going to make his move. He opened the Simon, Kakashi pondered. While I'm at it, let me say this. Shoman, Kai. As a tiny trail of blood emerged from Lee's nose and all of his muscles tensed, he thought. Hachiman, I see. You are much more talented than any ordinary genin. Jiro pondered, you would truly deserve the rank of Chunin. Before Lee charged at Jiro, Kakashi thought, he's quite something. Just before Lee kicked him up into the air, Jiro closed his eyes and sheathed his sword, thinking, if he's planning what I think he's planning, then I have no choice. He's quick, Kakashi remarked. Naruto questioned, where did he go? Up there, Sasuke exclaimed, gesturing upward. But what about Lee.san? I don't see him anywhere, Sakura responded. The Ryu.nin flew towards the wall after Lee abruptly materialized in front of Jiro and punched him, but the Konoha.nin then materialized behind him and punched him once more. For several minutes, both ninjas endured excruciating pain in this manner. If this goes any further, Kakashi thought, his muscles have torn. However, it's just Lee. How did he become so? As he turned on the Byakugan, Neji pondered. Lee shouted, this is the end, Toman, Kai, Hi, Neji. I was preparing this move to use against you, but I'll give you a preview first. Before he struck Jiro in the stomach and sent him sprawling to the ground, Lee pondered. However, Lee was able to prevent Jiro from hitting the ground by wrapping some of the bandages on his left arm around his waist. The Ura Renge is a fast-paced set of taijutsu moves that renders the attacker untouchable. Lee will win the match thanks to these quick moves, Guy pondered. This is the conclusion. Before pulling the bandages and dragging Jiro in his direction, Lee pondered. Then, shouting, Ura Renge. Lee pushed his right hand and right foot into Jiro's stomach. The Ryu.Nin then leapt to the ground and collided with it so violently that a massive shockwave nearly knocked everyone off their feet. Shikamaru thought, it's so fast, you can't even see. Lee fell hard to the ground, clearly too tired to fight any longer. But as the cloud of dust created by the impact dissipated, nearly everyone's eyes widened as Jiro stood up. However, what really grabbed everyone's attention was the fact that he was encircled by what appeared to be someone's or something's ribs, which were also green. As the ribs disappeared, Jiro remarked, that was a close one. If it hadn't been for this, even I wouldn't have survived that. But that technique put quite a strain on your body, and you likely won't be able to throw a simply punch or kick for several days to come. This battle is over. Jiro then proceeded to the stairs leading to the upper gallery. Hayate declared, since Rock Lee is no longer able to fight, the winner is Uchiha Jiro. Guy leapt to see how Lee was doing as a group of medical professionals arrived. Kankuro remarked, those Ryugakure shinobi are really something. Yeah, I think even Gaara would have had trouble with beating that kid, but Jiro's just walking away as though his strength didn't face him at all. Tamari replied. As he shivered with excitement, Gaara thought, he's strong, so strong. He would go on a rampage if his battle wasn't imminent. As Jiro walked toward them, Shu remarked, you didn't have to go all out like that. As Guy returned, Jiro retorted, who said I went all out? I didn't even summon Minotaur. Before the next two names were mentioned, Hayate stated, okay, the next battle is between Naruto Uzumaki versus Kiba Inuzuka. Well, it's about time. Thanks for being patient, everyone. I'm gonna make this worth your wait, Naruto screamed. Kiba shouted, oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you. We can take this guy, Akamaru. And Akamaru barked. Naruto looked at Shu and said, hey, Shu-san. Since Sasuke, Teme and Sakura-chan summoned their shadows, would it be okay if? Sure, I don't see why not. Besides, it kinda became pointless hiding them after Sasuke summoned his, Shu replied. Naruto jumped over the railing and landed on the floor below after saying, thanks. Soon afterward, he and Kiba found themselves standing in the center of the room. The 9th round battle. Uzumaki Naruto versus Inuzuka Kiba, Hayate exclaimed. Kiba shouted, woo.who. We lucked out, Akamaru. This fight is as good as won. And Akamaru responded with a bark. Hey, Kiba. Send your little puppy dog home. Come on, he'll get in our way. Naruto shouted, pointing at Akamaru, before saying, don't be so cocky, you jerk. Whatever, Kiba said, placing the mutt on the ground as it barked. Akamaru fights with me, like always. Sakura screamed, Naruto. Don't you dare let that loser beat you. Yeah, show him that you're no longer as weak as you used to be, Sasuke replied. This is it at last, Kakashi thought. Naruto? Kakashi, you had a hard time. Your boy can never defeat Kiba. Kurenai pondered. I wish I could support Naruto.kun, but I don't want to upset my teammate Kiba.kun. However, Hinata pondered. Don't worry, I'll be kind. I'll finish you off fast instead of dragging it out, Kiba replied. Naruto exclaimed, oh, yeah, well, right back at ya. Akamaru barked as Kiba remarked, you're not fooling anyone with that cool act. Well then, begin, responded Hayate. Kiba said, Ninpo. Shikyaku no Jutsu. Then, as he stooped on all four, he began to look a little more feral. Here I come. Before anyone realized what had happened, Kiba had rushed at Naruto more quickly than the majority of the genin in the room could see, sending him crashing into the wall. Kiba remarked, he's down for the count already, sir. Kurenai thought, see, as Kankuro put it, he's such a wimp. Sad Naruto.kun. Hinata mused. Shu simply grinned at Jiro when he said, "Well, that was over quicker than I had expected. Tell me, what have the two of you even been doing all this time, Shu?" He remarked, "Oh, it's not over yet." Then, to the surprise of nearly everyone, Naruto stood up. Kiba exclaimed in shock. "Nani?" Naruto exclaimed, "Don't underestimate me." "Go, Naruto!" exclaimed Sakura. Sasuke exclaimed, "Way to go, Dobi." "Oh, Naruto-kun." Hinata pondered. As Akamaru barked, Kiba questioned, "You talk pretty tough for someone who's bleeding all over the place. Would you just surrender already? Don't you get it? I let you pound me, so I could find out what you're made of. You're so high on yourself, you just go and fight me alone, or with your dog, or any other way you want," said Naruto. Kiba yelled, "Get him, Akamaru," and charged at Naruto, saying, "You'll be sorry." Akamaru then leapt into the smoke cloud after he threw a couple of smoke bombs on the floor, but to Kiba's surprise, the mutt was flung out of the cloud, landed on his feet, and skidded to a stop. A voice emerged from the cloud of smoke, asking, "Really, Naruto? This is what you summoned me for? A sorry excuse for a ninja and his mutt?" When the smoke cloud cleared and it became clear that Blue Dragon was emerging from the floor behind him, Naruto remarked, "Sorry, Blue Dragon. But they're a little tougher than they look, only a little though. I guess you've gotten stronger, eh? So this time, I'm not holding back," said Kiba. Naruto exclaimed, "Oh, yeah? Then, right back at ya." The mutt's fur abruptly turned red as Kiba took out a food pellet and handed it to Akamaru. "His fur, it turned red, What the heck are you feeding that dog?" replied Naruto. While he also took a food pill, Kiba remarked, "His name is Akamaru. It means, red, Udobi." He yelled, "Jujin Bunshin," before Akamaru developed a more savage expression and became a perfect replica of him. The real Kibas then yelled, "Shikyaku no Jutsu," as the two charged at Naruto. After that, they descended in the direction of the blonde and tried to punch him, but Naruto leapt into the air and landed on Blue Dragon's back, causing them to only strike the ground. "Wind!" Naruto yelled, and Blue Dragon's wings spread, generating a strong wind gust that threw Kiba and Akamaru to the ground. However, before they began spinning, the two of them charged at Naruto once more. "Gatsuga!" Kiba exclaimed as he and Akamaru bounded in the direction of the dragon and the blonde. On Naruto's order, Blue Dragon then flew up where Kiba had previously been unable to reach them. A blade of wind engulfed his right hand. Then they rushed down to Kiba and his canine. The two were then struck by the wind sword, which sent them hurtling into the wall. It had knocked Akamaru unconscious, but Kiba got to his feet, then glanced at his wounded dog before turning to face Naruto. Then, like a drill, he spun towards Naruto, but the blonde, or rather, Blue Dragon, avoided it. "You'll pay for that, Suga," he exclaimed. When the Jinchuriki fell to the ground, Kiba stopped spinning and skidded along the floor before spinning once more in the direction of the blonde and his shadow. This time, he struck Naruto and slammed him into the wall before landing on the floor. "This perfectly illustrates the difference between our levels of strength," said Kiba. I'm gonna be the Hokage, I won't lose now," said Naruto. As Kiba screamed, Blue Dragon leaned down to Naruto's head, which was lying face down on the ground. "You, Hokage. You can't even beat me. No one's deluded enough to think you really have what it takes to become Hokage, not even you. Tell you what, though, I'll become Hokage in your place," it said. "You know, Gaki, he does have a point there," he replied. Naruto stood up and remarked, "Shut up." He then added, "If you try to come between me and the title of Hokage, you'll whimper, like a whipped dog." Kiba said, "Geez, you're a stubborn one, aren't you?" before lunging for the blonde. Naruto said, "Ready, Blue Dragon?" Blue Dragon declared, "I'm as ready as I'll ever be." Kiba yelled, "Suga," as he began to spin in Naruto's direction, but the blonde sidestepped the blow and then made a series of hand gestures. He yelled, "Futon! Kamikaze no Jutsu," as he blasted Kiba with a strong gust of wind, slightly tearing his jacket before launching him against the wall. Wind Sword. Then Blue Dragon struck Kiba with the Wind Sword, knocking him to the ground almost unconscious. Hayate then went to check him out. He declared, "And the winner is Uzumaki Naruto, instead." Sakura exclaimed, "Oh, yeah, that feels good. Wow. Naruto defeated Kiba," exclaimed Shikamaru. "Yes." Hinata pondered. "Hey," Sasuke thought, "way to go, Naruto." I am now stronger," Naruto thought as he remembered Blue Dragon and glanced down at his fist before ascending the stairs. Shish. Should I? As Naruto passed her, Hinata thought, "Shouldn't I?" Turning around, Naruto said, "En Naruto.kun," and Hinata held up an ointment. "Hinata." Kurenai pondered. Naruto inquired, "What's this stuff?" Kurenai said, "An ointment, for wounds." "For me, why?" inquired Naruto. Kurenai said, "Just take it from her, Naruto." Naruto took the ointment and then walked back to where Team 7, Team Guy, and Team Shu were standing. Okay, thanks," he said. "Kiba, don't feel embarrassed. You fought a worthy opponent, it turns out," Kurenai pondered. "You seem carefree, don't you, Hinata?" "Sama?" Neji scowled at Hinata out of the corner of his eye and thought. After that, Hinata descended the stairs and approached some medical personnel who were transporting Kiba and Akamaru. Hinata stated, th. This is a healing salve, for Kiba.kun, and Akamaru.kun, while extending another ointment. Nice of you to worry about everyone else, but save some of that concern for yourself. There are only 6 of you left, you, Choji, Neji, one of the Auto Ninja, one of the Ryu Ninja, and that guy from Suna. Listen, Hinata. If they pair you off against that Suna ninja, withdraw immediately. And not just him. The same goes for Neji. If you have to face him, don't fight. Forfeit. He's so cruel to you, you'd be torn to pieces. Oh, and you should probably do the same if you're paired against that last Ryu.nin. After seeing what his teammates are capable of, I don't think you'd stand much of a chance, Kiba continued. Hayate said, "Well then, the next match will be, cough." Hinata's eyes widened as the next 2 names appeared on the scoreboard. Hinata Hyuga versus Neji Hyuga. Kurenai thought, Hinata. After Hiruzen remarked, "These contests get more and more intriguing," Hinata and Neji appeared in the center of the room, facing one another. "I never dreamed we'd find ourselves fighting each other, Hinata." "Sama," Neji replied. Hinata stammered, "Neji, Oni.san," Naruto questioned, "Huh? She's his sister?" Both are members of Konoha's oldest and most illustrious family, through whose veins flows the most elite and accomplished blood, the Hyuga clan. But they're not brother and sister, Kakashi clarified. Sakura inquired, "Then, how are they related?" "Well, it's complicated. I guess you could say they're related in the same way that a tree branch is related to the trunk," Kakashi responded. Naruto said, "Branch and trunk. Hinata is a member of the main branch of the Hyuga clan, and Neji is a member of the cadet branch that supports it," Guy clarified. "So it's family fighting family? That'll be hard on both of them," Sakura responded. "Yes, except," said Guy. "What?" inquired Sakura. "There's been strain between the central and cadet branches of Clan Hyuga for some time. Relations aren't exactly friendly," Guy stated. Why's that?" inquired Naruto's. "It's a pretty common tale among older families. The first generation of the Hyuga clan made all sorts of rules and decrees that favored the main branch of the family in order to preserve the family line and retain the purity of their blood. It's said that members of the cadet branch still burn with anger and humiliation," Guy clarified. "So it's one of those fateful showdown things, then," said Sakura. Hayate said, "Well, please begin the match, cough." "Before we begin, there's something I have to point out to Hinata, Sama," Neji said, grabbing the blue net's interest. "You're not cut out to be a shinobi. Withdraw from the match. You're all sweetness and light, a peacemaker, not a troublemaker. You're easily led, not a leader. And you have no self-confidence. You've got a world-class inferiority complex, so I know you'd have been more comfortable and content staying at the genin level. But applicants for the Chunin exams must compete as a trio, and you couldn't bear to let your teammates down. The truth is, your participation has been reluctant from the start, hasn't it? N.No, you're wrong. I really wanted to change that about myself. So, of my own volition, replied Hinata. Hinata. Sama, you're the sheltered little baby of the main branch, aren't you? Neji responded. What? inquired Hinata. A leopard doesn't change its spots. A failure always fails, and a weak personality won't become strong, Neji concluded. That jerk. Naruto pondered. It's precisely because of the unchanging nature of humankind that differences between people are born. It's why we've coined terms like elite and failure. It doesn't matter who you are. We're all judged on the basis of our looks, our intelligence, our talent, or our personalities, just as we judge others in their turn. Yes, it's a form of discrimination, and the factors that it's based on don't change. We have no choice, we must live within the boundaries set for us by the judgments of others. It's as unchangeable as the fact that I'm of the cadet branch of the family, and you're a member of the main branch. I've seen through many things with this Byakugan, and so I know, this courage you're displaying is just a bluff. In the truest, deepest part of your heart, you're desperate to run away from here right now. Neji continued. Hinata said, No, I really want to. Sakura glanced at Kakashi and said, the Byakugan. The Byakugan is one of the Kekkei Genkai passed down in the Hyuga family, a dojutsu in some ways similar to the Sharingan. But, unlike the Sharingan, it is said that the Byakugan can see a person's Kirakuki. Sasuke clarified in Kakashi's place. When Neji's eyes became active, Hinata tried to look away by turning her gaze to the upper left and then to the lower right while holding her hands in front of her. My eyes can't be deceived. Just now, to escape my stare, you averted your own eyes, glancing towards the upper left. It signaled your recall of a past experience, one that brought you pain. When you subsequently glanced to the lower right, it indicated that you were envisioning physical and mental agony. In other words, you recalled your own previous experiences, and based upon those memories, you imagined the outcome of this match. You foresaw your own defeat. Even now, as you bring your arms up in front of your body as if to shield yourself, your body is signaling your desire to raise a wall between us, to create some distance from me. You implore me to come no further, to peer no more deeply into the innermost secrets of your heart, because everything I have said so far has been right on target. In addition, the way you're touching your lip, it's another of those tender, intimate behaviors that expresses the agitation in your heart. It's a defensive reflex, an attempt to ease your own anxieties and doubts. It's completely clear, whether you admit it or not, that you are aware that you can never change yourself, Neji said. When Neji said, you can't just arbitrarily decide these things about other people, you fool. Show him, Hinata. Beat up this baka. Naruto screamed. Yes, she can. Hinata mused. Naruto.kun. Come on, Hinata. At least talk to him. Just hearing him has made me mad, and it's you who has to fight him. Naruto screamed. Hinata thought, Naruto.kun. He's really annoying, Neji pondered. With renewed confidence, Hinata gazed at Neji and thought, thank you. The expression in her eyes has changed. Neji pondered for a moment before responding, so you're not going to withdraw, then I won't be responsible for what happens here. Then Hinata remembered what Naruto had said at the conclusion of the first test. I don't quit, and I won't run, I never go back on my word. That's my nindo. I no longer want to run. After activating her eyes and assuming the Juken stance, Hinata thought, Byakugan. She then said, Neji. Oni.san, let's fight. Neji said, okay then, and took the same position. They have the same Hyuga style, after all, even her stance is identical to Neji's, Guy replied. Sakura inquired, Hyuga style? It's the strongest school of taijutsu in Konoha, Guy replied. After that, Hinata and Neji charged at one another. Hinata launched a series of palm strikes, but Neji stopped them all. This is it. When Hinata noticed a gap, she thought and swiftly struck Neji in the stomach with her palm. Did she get him? Inquired Sakura. Naruto exclaimed, no, it's just a scratch. A scratch is all it would take. That's why the Hyuga clan is often regarded as Konoha's most illustrious family, Guy replied. Sakura questioned, huh? What do you mean? Among the Hyuga, there are unique taijutsu passed down from one generation to the next. Unlike the taijutsu that Lee and I specialize in, which is all about beatings, bruises and broken bones, a style its proponents call Goken. The Hyuga clan employs Juken, to inflict damage to the enemy's Kirakuki, through which the chakra flows. That leads to the breakdown of the internal organs, destroying the foe from within. It doesn't look like much, but the effect grows gradually after the initial attack. Guy clarified. There's no way of strengthening the internal organs, so any enemy struck with that blow is going to succumb, said Kakashi. As she deflected a blow from Neji away from her and then struck him with another palm strike, Hinata thought, yes, even I can. He's being pushed by Hinata.san, Shino pondered. Kurenai thought, Hinata. Yeah, Hinata, exclaimed Naruto. What kind of people are they, to attack the Kirakuki? It doesn't seem possible. I mean, the Kirakuki is just energy lines inside the body, so how do you attack something you can't see? Sakura inquired. They can. It's like Sasuke said before, the Byakugan can see them, and Juken attacks are different from the purely brute force, physical kind. You take your own chakra and release it through the energy portals in your hands, forcing it into the body of your foe, where it can inflict massive damage on the enemy's Kirakuki. Kakashi stated when Hinata struck Neji's torso. All right, shouted Naruto. Did she get him? Shino pondered. Neji had stabbed Hinata's arm with his other hand's index and middle fingers while striking her in the chest, causing Hinata to cough up blood. So this is the full extent of the main branch's strength? Neji responded. Naruto screamed, hey, what the heck? What about Hinata's attack? Before attempting a palm strike to Neji's face, Hinata thought, not yet. However, the Hyuga prodigy grabbed Hinata's wrist with his left hand and struck Hinata's arm with his right index and middle finger. What a fighter! Kakashi pondered. Kurenai wanted to say, tell me. My. Hiruzen thought, it seems those who have referred to him as the greatest genius in Hyuga clan history haven't exaggerated the case. Neji then exposed multiple black dots by pushing Hinata's sleeve up her arm. Hinata questioned, it can't be. You mean, from the very beginning? Before launching a palm strike that sent Hinata reeling across the floor, Neji exclaimed, precisely, my eyes can detect the tenketsu. Hinata. Sama. This is the unalterable difference in strength, the distinction that separates the elite from the failure. This is the unchangeable reality. From the moment you said you wouldn't run, your defeat was inevitable. The only possible outcome was your present despair, withdraw. Never, go back, on my word, Hinata uttered as she stood up. Hinata, Naruto pondered. Hinata exclaimed, because, that's, my Nindo, too. Naruto exclaimed, whoa, Hinata, man, she's got guts. Shu remarked, she's a lot like you. Bouquet scowled as Sakura remarked, yeah, I've noticed that she's always watching you, Naruto. Come here, Neji said, but Hinata coughed up more blood right away. That child is truly at her breaking point. One more assault and she'll, Kurenai pondered. Neji's strikes on her tenketsu have completely arrested her flow of chakra. She's lost the capacity to perform the Juken attacks that flood her chakra into her opponent's body. This fight is as good as done, Kakashi stated. It appears to be inevitable. Neji is going to win, Guy thought. Those eyes, so creepy, Hinata, she won't get killed, will she? Ino responded. His level of strength, it's not a fair fight. He's just too strong, said Sakura. Naruto shouted, hang in there, Hinata. Naruto.kun. Hinata considered this before turning to face Neji. Her eyes have regained their strength, Neji thought as Hinata lunged toward him. I've been watching, Hinata thought as she and Neji started fighting again. I've been watching you for years. Why is that? I'm not sure what it is, but whenever I watch Naruto.kun, I feel a surge of bravery rising within me. I believe that even I am valuable if I just give it my all. That's how I feel at first. Then, Hinata advanced for a palm strike, but Neji deflected her attack with a chopping motion with his left hand before striking her in the face and sending her reeling back a few feet. Hinata, Kurenai uttered before reflecting, you always quit, but you started trying to change at some point. You were always making mistakes on missions, despite your constant and desperate training. You stumbled. You lacked strength. You also never believed in yourself. That is no longer the case, though, because the Hinata I see now has an expression in her eyes that is unlike anything I have ever seen. Before Hinata charged at Neji once more, Kurenai pondered. Naruto.kun. I've been observing you for a very long time, but now you're finally observing me. As she ran towards Neji, Hinata thought, but before she could hit him, Neji hit her and she fell to the ground. Don't you know when to quit? From the start, your attacks have been completely ineffective, Neji replied. Please, call this off, Hinata. Even though you lost the match, you were able to change who you are. You performed admirably, Kurenai pondered. That was Neji's master stroke. It targets the heart. It's a pity, but the girl can no longer even stand, Guy replied. Hayate began, seeing as the match cannot go on, but Naruto interrupted. He cried, don't stop it, Sakura screamed. What are you talking about, Yubaka? She's got nothing left, she's already collapsed. But Hinata was able to get to her feet in an instant. Why are you getting up? If you push too far, you really will die, Neji replied. The reason for this is that the person I've long admired is finally observing me, and I can't stand to appear uncool in front of him. As Hinata glanced at Neji, she thought, this isn't over yet. You're not fooling anyone. I can see with these eyes, it's taking all your strength just to stand. You were burdened from birth with the Hyuga clan's main branch. You've hated and punished yourself for your own weakness and frailty, but you can't fight your nature or change your fate. But you need not suffer anymore. Be at peace, Neji replied. Before Neji charged at her, Hinata remarked, but, you're wrong, Neji. Oni-san, I can see it now, that even more than me, it's you who are torn and suffering, caught between the destinies of the main branch and cadet branch of our clan. As he and a few other Konohajanen prepared to stop the Hyuga prodigy, Hayate yelled, Neji. The match is already over. But before they could react, Hinata was suddenly enveloped in a purple aura, and a hippopotamus shadow materialized from the floor behind her. Nani? That thing won't be able to help her now, anyway, Neji thought as he stopped running. He then charged at Hinata again, but Shu swiftly made a dragon scale and threw it at him, striking him in the neck. After experiencing a sharp pain in his neck, Neji stopped and raised his right hand to the dragon scale. Didn't you hear Hayate-san? The match is over, Shu replied. TCH. Hippopotamus then retreated to the floor, and Hinata fell to the ground as Neji was ready to ascend to the upper gallery. Naruto said, Hey, what happened? Before turning to face the blonde, Shu remarked, it was the shock of awakening her shadow. The same thing happened to you and your teammates. The shock of awakening her shadow? What do you mean? Sakura inquired. Shu said, you know the Hachiman, right? Sakura said, yeah, what about it? What most people aren't aware of is that there aren't only 8 inner gates, but 9, Jiro stated. What do you mean? What happens if you open the 9th gate? Replied Naruto. Before he continued, the others nodded. Well, you know how behind every one of the gates are large amounts of power, right? Shu said. Behind the 9th gate, that's where your shadow is located before you awaken it. Naruto questioned, what? Really? Yes, but in order to open the 9th gate, you must first open the 8th gate, and if you do that, you die, Shu replied. Sakura inquired, then how do you open the 9th gate? Shu gestured to Sasuke and said, a long time ago, a way was discovered in which you could bypass the other 8 gates and just open the 9th one. What you need is an external source of power, like a curse mark, for example. Uchiha covered his curse mark with his hand. But wait. What about me, Sakura, Chan and Hinata? I'm pretty sure that none of us awakened our shadows that way, Naruto replied. Jiro remarked, you're forgetting that you're all of the 7 soldiers of light, and that you have the power to call forth your shadows from within. Naruto remarked, I see, yeah, but both known ways of unlocking your shadows has a major downside, Bokeh replied. And what's that? Inquired Sasuke. Since you're not opening any of the other Hachiman, you won't receive any enormous power. Up, Shu replied. Then, as Neji ascended the stairs and headed for his sensei, Hinata was taken away by a few medical personnel. The Hyuga prodigy turned to face Naruto as Shu approached him and took off the dragon scale. Hey, you, Mr. Failure, he said to the blonde. A couple of words of advice. A true shinobi would have too much class to make a spectacle of himself by cheering during a serious match. And one more thing, you may as well accept who you are. Once a failure, always a failure. Naruto said, you want to try me? But Shu put his hand on his shoulder. He said, save that for the 3rd exam. Sakura looked around and said, "Hey, where'd Bouquet go?" "She left, saying something about visiting the Hyuga estate," Logi replied. Sakura and Naruto exchanged perplexed glances and said, "Huh, the Hyuga estate." The mindscape of Hinata sitting on her bed in the Hyuga estate, Hinata reflected on the battle she had just been in. Hinata instantly looked up and in the direction of the voice's source to see Bouquet, saying, "You seem used to this place." She said, "Your name's Ra Bouquet." Bouquet began to look around. "So I suppose that this is where you run off to when you want to be alone, huh?" "Well, it's the first time I've seen someone finding their way to their mindscape before awakening their shadow, unless they're a Jinchuriki, that is." "Shadow?" inquired Hinata. "Tower, arena, and forest of death." Choji Akamichi versus Kinuta Dosu Dosu remarked, "Looks like I'm last," before considering, "Anyway, I have to make it to the finals and fight Sasuke, or else I won't live up to your expectations, Orochimaru Sama. I think I finally get what you were doing. The three of us were your test subjects when you hunted down Sasuke in the forest and, rather than killing him, put your curse mark on him. You ordered us to kill Sasuke, but in reality, you only wanted us to battle him so we could see his skills and test them out for ourselves. Sasuke himself, not his life, is what you desire." He said, "You've been toying with me, too," as he leapt to the ground and materialized before Choji, who had already descended. Hayate exclaimed, Well, let the 11th round battle begin." "Go get him!" shouted Shikamaru. Ino exclaimed, "You can do it, Fatso." Shut your mouth and keep your eyes open, I'm gonna end this match fast so I can come beat you up," Choji screamed. "Well then, I'll dispense with the games and quickly finish it for you, Fatso," Dosu replied. Choji used the combination of Baika and Nikuden Sensha in this battle, which was the shortest one so far in the entire exam. However, Dosu was able to avoid it with ease before Choji crashed into the wall. When he stopped to roll the other way, Dosu struck him with his amplifier, knocking him out because water makes up more than 70% of the human body. Hayate declared, "We have a winner, Dosu Kinuta. Orochimaru Sama, or more accurately, Orochimaru, I'll demonstrate to you that I'm more than just your test subject," Dosu pondered. Choji was crouching next to a medic.nin who said, "Hey, are you alright?" Choji said, "I want to eat meat." Shikamaru remarked, "He even went easy on him." Asuma, who had promised the Akamichi to take him out for barbecue if he won, said, "Well, he lost, but I guess I'll still take him out for barbecue." Shu Namikaze versus Gaara. Before Gaara materialized in the center of the room as a whirlpool of sand, Shu remarked, "Looks like it's my turn." He looked up at Shu, who smiled before abruptly disappearing and emerging in front of him. "Don't keep me waiting," he said. Shu said, "I hope you're ready." "Hey." It would be him who would have to be prepared here, Konkuro thought. After a brief silence, Hayate said, "All right, it's the finale, the 12th round battle between Namikaze Shu and Gaara. Begin," he said. "Before we start, I would like to say something," Shu responded. Gaara inquired, "What is it?" Everybody's eyes widened when Shu said, "You know what they say, knowledge is power, and unfortunately for you, I already know everything about you. Sabaku no Gaara, son of the Yondaime Kazekage and Jinchuriki of Shukaku no Ichibi." Naruto questioned, "What the, he's a Jinchuriki?" before considering, "Just like me." Sakura glanced at Kakashi and said, "Hey, Kakashi. Sensei. What's a Jinchuriki?" "Well, Sakura, how should I say this? A Jinchuriki is what we call a human who has a demon sealed inside of him," Kakashi responded. "A human who has a demon sealed inside of him? Is something like that even possible?" asked Sakura. Kakashi exclaimed, "More possible than you think," while gazing at Naruto. "How was he supposed to know that?" Konkuro inquired. "I don't know, but I've got a bad feeling about this," Tamari replied. "Was that all?" "Either that or he didn't care," Gaara said, as if he hadn't been shocked that Shu knew he was a Jinchuriki at all. "Yes. That was the only thing Shu said." Gaara merely said, "Good." Then the cork on his gourd exploded, and sand came out of it. The sand then slashed out at Shu, but the Ryu.Nin avoided it and made a series of hand signals. "Ryukaze, futon. Thought so. The sand will just keep on protecting him like that. It's why he's never been injured before. Fortunately, I know exactly how to get around that shield. Abruptly, a dragon head of wind emerged from Shu's body and headed directly for Gaara. Do you have anything else? Pathetic, said Gaara. Shu rubbed his index finger under his nose and said, sorry, but that's not even close. He went on, but if you want me to take you more seriously, all right. Before Blue Dragon emerged from the floor, Shu was enveloped in a blue aura. However, this blue dragon was at least twice as large as Naruto's. Well, this is not like the norm. Bringing me up twice a week. I'm rarely called upon even twice a month these days, Blue Dragon remarked. I apologize, Blue. However, it appeared that this man wanted me to become more serious, Shu remarked. Whoa. Naruto remarked, I had no idea Shu-san's blue dragon was so large. What? What are you discussing? You mentioned that you had been trained by him, didn't you? Sakura inquired. Yes, indeed. But during our training, he never called forth his shadow. Even when we sparred, he simply claimed he didn't have to, and he consistently defeated me. Naruto remarked, I couldn't even land a single hit. You were unable to land a single hit? Naruto's nothing like what he was back at the academy, even I have to admit that. So, if Shu beat him so easily, then how powerful can he be? Sasuke said, before thinking, I wouldn't have been surprised if you hadn't gotten any stronger since our academy days, but... Alright, let's get started, Blue, Virus. Shu cried out before Blue Dragon's sand shield moved in to shield Gaara from a fierce wave of fire. Before the fire struck the shield, Gaara uttered the words, pathetic. However, his eyes widened when his sand turned to glass. Then, running in his direction, Shu punched the glass, breaking it on impact, then punched Gaara in the stomach, sending him flying into the wall. What happened just now? Kankuro inquired. What caused the sand to become glass? Naruto inquired. You see, Naruto, then. Sand turns into glass when it is exposed to extensive heat that exceeds a particular temperature. Kakashi clarified. Shu-san probably knew this and chose to take advantage of the information. Whoa. He truly is an expert on Gaara, Sakura remarked. Gaara had cracks all over his body, and as the dust cloud from the impact cleared, some pieces fell off from the area where Shu had struck him, revealing that he was wearing sand armor. Kakashi thought, he mummified himself in sand, the punch barely touched him. Kankuro thought, he was wearing the sand like a shell, it's been a while since I saw that expression on his face, he's usually as composed as a statue, the picture of politeness and decorum. I had sensed that, during the Chunin examination, he was becoming more and more unstable, but, the other Gaara, is now totally awake, hey. Shu will be tampered with and eventually killed if this Gaara manages to capture him. The armor was then reformed by the rising sand, which covered Gaara. After thinking, an armor of sand, a sword of fire materialized around Blue Dragon's hand, and Shu swung his arm down, forcing his shadow to follow suit. Gaara barely avoided it before a wave of sand was hurled at Shu. But before saying, blue explosion, Shu cupped his hands at his sides and avoided the sand. Then, as Blue Dragon released a strong blue wave of fire, he pushed his arms forward. As the dust cloud dissipated, it became evident to all that the sand armor had transformed into glass, trapping Gaara inside the statue at the end of the room before he could even comprehend what had happened. It wouldn't be wise for you to keep fighting, Shu remarked. After all, you're almost entirely out of your sand. But then he felt something, and the glass broke before sand appeared to pour out of the floor and cover the Jinchuriki as it lifted him into the air. That's, Shu said. Hi. What's happening? Naruto inquired. What is he contemplating? Is it time to bring that out? Kankuro inquired. Shu leapt up and landed on Blue Dragon to avoid the sand, which now covered the entire floor, after it had fully covered Gaara and taken the shape of a raccoon. At least he's nowhere near his full size, meaning that Gaara isn't using the Bijuu's full power, Shu thought after saying, hey, I wasn't expecting Shukaku to come out like that. Then, as Shukaku shrank, all of the sand abruptly retracted back into him as he formed a dragon scale and threw it at the enormous raccoon. Shortly afterward, Shukaku was drawn back into Gaara, who now had the dragon scale where his seal was. As Shu landed on the floor in front of Gaara, who was on his arms and knees on the ground, panting, he said, I placed a dragon scale which strengthens the seal to the point where it can never be broken on you. The dragon scale has also cut off all connection with your tenant permanently. Shu turned around and started to leave, remembering Blue Dragon. But the sand that Gaara had tried to trap him in earlier slashed out, covering his entire body except for his head. But you'll still be able to control sand. As he extended his right arm, Gaara declared, "This battle isn't over yet." "This is," Shino thought, identifying the method. Shu.san. Naruto shouted. "Hey! This fight is over," Kankuro declared. "You got me, but are you really brave enough to attack me? To take my own life in that manner?" Shu asked as he looked over his shoulder at Gaara. "Well? Do you?" Then, his eyes abruptly turned golden, and there were vertical slits in the center. Gaara saw his own death at Shu's hand, and he screamed as the sand fell off the Ryu.nin. Shu declared, "Hayate.san, this battle is over. Namikaze Shu is the victor of the battle in the 12th round." As Shu made his way back up the stairs, Hayate declared. Gaara. When a group of medics arrived, Tamari yelled as she and Kankuro leapt to the ground and ran in the direction of their younger brother. "Shu of Rugaker, just who are you?" Baki thought as he watched the boy. He was able to psyche out Gaara, strengthen the seal to the point where it can't be broken, and dodge almost every attack that Gaara threw at him. "Good luck, Shu.san. I had faith in your ability." As Shu returned to where the others were, Naruto yelled. "Finally, it's over," Hayate thought. "The finals at last," Hiruzen thought. "Well, then, the third exam's preliminary preparation is now finished as of right now," Hayate said, and a moment later, Hiruzen was standing in front of the statue with the three proctors in front of him, and in front of them once more were the people who, aside from Bouquet, had advanced to the next exam. Shino, Neji, Shikamaru, Kankuro, Tamari, Jiro, Shu, Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke, and Dosu, in order from right to left. Congratulations to everyone who won their fights and advanced to the third phase of the Chunin exams finals, even if one of you isn't present. Hayate uttered those words. "Well then, starting now, I shall be explaining the finals," Hiruzen pondered. "There are 6 Konoha, 2 Suna Ninja, 1 Auto, and 3 Ryu. This includes the absent Ra Bouquet." "All right," Naruto thought. The Konoha Kabuto was kneeling in front of Orochimaru, who was leaning against a column somewhere in the village. "The preliminaries have safely concluded, they will now proceed to the finals," Kabuto stated. "How tranquil, or rather, how naively peaceful this nation has become, while all the other countries are busy with military expansion races," Orochimaru exclaimed. "What if we attack right now?" Kabuto got to his feet and posed the question. "Well, yes, although I doubt it would be any fun to kill that feeble old geezer," Orochimaru replied. "Are you really that confident in yourself? It still seems to me that you're stumbling. That boy is a bullet, right? The powers of each hidden village will soon clash and engage in a bloody, protracted battle, and Otogakure will be one of those involved. You intend to be the catalyst for that conflict. Was it Uchiha Sasuke-kun?" Kabuto uttered those words. Orochimaru remarked, "Hey, your insights are disgustingly accurate." "Obviously not, as I was unaware of Dosu, Zaku, and Kin. I wanted to comprehend the strength of those 3 Auto Ninja when I was tasked with gathering intelligence on Sasuke-kun. I overestimated my own defenses and made a stupid tactical mistake, even inciting them to attack me. You still don't seem to fully trust me, isn't that correct?" Kabuto uttered those words. "Those 3 are so unimportant. Do I really need to bring up such unimportant topics? My trust in you is demonstrated by the fact that you are my right hand man. That's why I was considering giving you Sasuke-kun. The curse mark 1 put on him appears to have been sealed by that annoying Shu Kun's dragon scale, but it doesn't really matter," Orochimaru stated, "but I want you to kidnap him as soon as possible before the darkness in his soul is extinguished." "How unusual that you're concerned," Kabuto uttered those words. Orochimaru remarked, "There is something causing a bit of concern." "You mean Naruto-kun Uzumaki?" Kabuto inquired. Orochimaru pondered for a moment before uttering the words, "Hey, a sharp child, indeed. Sasuke-kun is an embodiment of vengeance. His only motivation for living is the desire to kill his older brother. He cannot pass away until he accomplishes that objective. But when we fought, he came at me without fear of death, even though he knew he couldn't win against me. Furthermore, based on your notes, it appears that Sasuke-kun's purpose and soul are being altered by his interaction with the Kyuubi child. I didn't believe he was a child who would hastily end his life. Orochimaru remarked, since Naruto-kun has such power over Sasuke-kun, I have to separate them right away. I have to stain him with my colors as soon as I can. Kabuto said, well then, before turning around and beginning to move. Kabuto-kun, you, Orochimaru said, drawing the Auto Spy's attention. Killing Sasuke-kun right now is your only option if you wish to stop me. You can't possibly kill me, can you? Kabuto became anxious and began to perspire as the snake Sannin said, hey, I'm joking. Now, you may go. Even if you're strong, you're no stronger than Kakashi, so, I'm trusting you, Kabuto said, then gave a small smile before averting his gaze as Orochimaru thought, hey. That face. I wonder what he's thinking. Tower, Arena, and Forest of Death. You will play your final round matches in front of everyone, as I previously stated. We want you to fully display all of your talents because each of you represents the fighting prowess of your respective countries. Consequently, the finals will start in a month, said Hiruzen. We're not doing it at this precise moment, Naruto inquired. Hiruzen stated, we refer to this as the requisite preparation period. What are you saying? Neji inquired. Well, it's a period of time that allows us to relay the results of the preliminaries to the rulers and shinobi leaders of each land, and to summon them to the finals, and it also serves as a preparation period for you applicants. Hiruzen continued. Kankuro thought, this old geezer always skirts the issue, and then he said, I still don't understand. What are you saying? You need to get ready to comprehend both yourself and your adversary. You can use the information you have obtained about your opponents during the preliminary stages to improve your chances of winning during this time. Although all of the battles up to this point have been actual battles, Hiruzen stated that you were fought against an unknown enemy in order to conduct the battle. Shikamaru thought, well, yeah, I never imagined that Spook from Suna would use sand as a weapon. But the finals are a different story. Some of you may have faced off against more formidable opponents and suffered serious injuries, while others may have ended up showing everything you have in front of your rivals. We give you this month so that the finals are equitable and fair. You must all seize the chance to put in a lot of practice, pick up some new skills, and, of course, get some sleep, said Hiruzen. At this rate, it won't be enough, just 1 month, I'll never be able to relax, Naruto reflected. Well, those are the fundamentals. There's one last thing we need to do for the finals before I let you all go, Hiruzen said. Hey, hurry up! I must now begin my training, Naruto shouted. Now then, don't be so impatient, there are slips of paper inside the box Anko is holding, each of you, take one. Hiruzen replied. Get in line, okay, I'll be right over, Anko declared. After that, she approached Dosu, who reached into the box as Anko exclaimed, one per person. Anko approached Sasuke, Sakura, Naruto, Shu, Jiro, Temari, Kankuro, Shikamaru, Neji, and Shino after Dosu had picked up one of the paper slips. All right, is there anyone with one now? Then you all read out the number on your slip, beginning on the left. As Ibiki got ready to write their names on a tiny scoreboard he was holding, Hiruzen remarked. As Dosu put it, I have 4. Sasuke said, 3. Sakura said, 5. Naruto said, 1. Shu said, 12. Jiro said, 11. Temari said, 7. Kankuro said, 10. Shikamaru said, 8. Neji said, 2. Shino said, 9. Ibiki stated, so Ra will be number 6. Well done. The match order for the tournament style finals will now be revealed, said Hiruzen. What? Naruto shouted. So that's the purpose of the drawing, Shikamaru shouted. Hiruzen said, well, Ibiki, show them the pairings. Ibiki said, yes sir, before he showed the scoreboard to the genin. Naruto and Neji faced off first, followed by Sasuke and Dosu, Sakura and Bouquet, Temari and Shikamaru, Shino and Kankuro, and Jiro and Shu. Additionally, because there were 6 quarterfinal matches, there were 3 semi-final matches, meaning that the final match would be a battle royale between the 3 semi-final winners. At last, Uchiha Sasuke, Dosu thought, Temari thought, Nani? The finals are a simple tournament. Shikamaru thought, dude, I have to fight another girl. What a drag. Kankuro thought, so, I'm up against either Shu, who defeated Gaara, or Jiro, who fought and defeated that Lee kid without much trouble for the second round. Shu thought, Jiro, hey, the audience is going to get quite a show. So I'm up against Naruto in the second round, Sasuke thought, a smile spreading across his lips as he was certain his blonde teammate would defeat the Hyuga. Perfect. As Sakura started to question her chances of making it to the finals, she thought, I'm up against Bouquet. I don't think I'm up for that. Neji wanted the blonde to understand his role, so he thought, perfect. Naruto looked at Hyuga Neji out of the corner of his eye and thought, Hyuga Neji, right off the bat? I never dreamed of a better opponent. All right, now is the time for you to go make plans, get some rest, or do anything else you want. Unless anyone has any questions, we're done here. Shikamaru held up his hand as Hiruzen spoke. May I? The Nara inquired. Yes, said Hiruzen. You mentioned that there would only be one winner because this is a tournament, correct? Does that imply that only one person can become a Chunin, then? Shikamaru inquired. No, that is not true. You will be watched by a number of judges during the finals, including the Kazekage, the rulers and shinobi leaders of the nations that will be submitting missions, and me. Hiruzen clarified, those judges will give you an absolute value based on how well you performed in the tournament. And everyone who is judged to have enough ability to be a Chunin can become a Chunin, even if they lost in the first round. You mean that any one of us here might turn into Chunin? Tamari inquired. Hey, but there's also a chance that none of you will turn into Chunin. The benefit of competing in more tournament rounds is that you will have more chances to show off your skills to the judges. Shikamaru, does that answer your question? Said Hiruzen. Shikamaru thought, he didn't have to throw it back in my face, geez. All right, well done. You will not be allowed to return for another month, said Hiruzen. Recalling all of the times he had lost to the Uchiha at the academy, Naruto thought, my second round will be against Sasuke. I've got to train really hard if I want to beat him. I'd better ask Kakashi Sensei for help. After that, Naruto dashed in the direction of the stairs that Kakashi, Guy, Logi, Asuma, Kurenai, and Ino were descending. Kakashi Sensei, hello. I must be trained by you. As Sakura and Sasuke approached, Naruto uttered those words. Naruto's head sagged before he glanced up at Kakashi once more after Kakashi said, sorry, Naruto, but I've got other things that I need to attend to. Are you sure you'll train Sasuke? The blonde shouted. Well, I'm the only one who can teach him some things. However, Kakashi said, I know someone who would be a much better teacher for you. Oh? Who? Naruto inquired. Who do you suppose? After that, Naruto turned to see Shu standing there. Oh, Shu-san. Will you be the one to instruct me? Naruto inquired. What did you anticipate? However, there is a small task I would like you to complete for me before we begin, Shu stated. What is that, too? Naruto inquired. Hospital Konoha, Gaara's room. Baki, Kankuro, and Tamari were in the hospital, keeping watch over Gaara as he lay on a bed, when the door suddenly opened and everyone turned to see Uzumaki Naruto, who they hadn't anticipated. Michael Statue, Land of Earth, Isolated Valley Momochi Zabuza and Yu Haku were the two figures that were walking in a valley that was quite remote from the outside world. Zabuza and Haku had returned to travel after the wave incident, hoping to find a client who was willing to use a couple of missing Ninsen had a buttload of cash, but they had not had much luck and were now in the Land of Earth. Haku abruptly stopped walking and looked to his left after noticing something. Haku, what is it? Zabuza turned around and asked. Zabuza followed Haku as he said, I'm not sure, and then left to go in the direction he had been searching. When they arrived at the edge of a huge crater, they saw what appeared to be a statue of a T-Rex with wings in the center of the crater, surrounded by numerous individuals who were clearly shinobi and had hite Atesh with a musical note on them, the hallmark of Otogakure. What are they doing, in your opinion? Haku inquired. I'm not sure, however, I feel uneasy about this, Zabuza remarked.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.